What's happening, Knicks family? We are back again. Today is not as good of a day as it's been in the past. Usually we get on here, we do a little post game recap of the past Knick games. We're feeling good about ourselves, I guess, because we're used to the winning. But unfortunately, this was one of those losses. It wasn't our greatest showing, even though we did have some positives that came out of the game. There was a lot of stuff we got to clean up, guys. So let's talk about it a little bit, and we'll break it all down. Hopefully, it won't be too bad, but there's some things we got to talk about. So I'll see you after this. What's happening, everybody? Once again, we are back with another Knick post-game show. Still Knick fans giving it to you the way it is, man. Sometimes it's not pretty, and we got to talk about it nevertheless. We're here for everything. It's 82-game season. We're here through the ups and the downs, and right now this is one of those downs, but something we can build off of. That being said, New York Knicks lose to the Toronto Raptors 113-104. This started off like any other Knick game. We went out there. We were doing what needed to be done. What can we really say? I think we were executing the right way. Julius Randle has had a couple games in a row in which he didn't put forth his best performances. And I guess he kind of took that to heart. He knew we were playing the Toronto Raptors, which is a pretty good defensive team. They're just a pretty good basketball team overall. And I guess he wanted to go out there and make a statement and show that, you know what, I'm still here. I'm still Julius Randle. Last year, you saw who I could become, and I'm still that guy. So he came out to a fast start. I mean, he went out trying to be aggressive. He was trying to get to the rim. He was trying to hit his, his 3-point shots, and it was looking great. It was looking really good. Some of the other guys were getting into the mix as well. You saw a couple baskets from Fournier. You saw a couple baskets from Kemba Walker in that first quarter. RJ contributed a little bit. It was it's all flowing in a nice pace. It did get to a point where we started to see that Julius was very aggressive and seemed to be taking control of the game and making sure that he got off to a fast start. So in the past, we've seen Julius where he tries to get his teammates involved early, and then later he'll go try to get his points. But I think maybe because of the fact that he's been struggling these past two games against the Pelicans and against the Bulls, he said, you know what, maybe I need to get off to a fast start, and then I'll go from there. It was looking great. I was feeling good. I was feeling confident. The Toronto Raptors were playing us with a team that consisted of guys like Svi, Mikhailuk in the starting lineup, Gary Trent Jr., was going to be into play extensive minutes. Then you had to worry about OG Anunoby, which that OG Anunoby, I'm going to give that guy a lot of credit. I knew he was a very good defender. I just didn't know how good of an offensive player he was. He's definitely better than I thought. So salute to him. He definitely showed us who he is, man. We got a nice close look at his game. And then obviously they had Fred VanVleet out there. We know what he can do, what he brings to the game. I thought that we would have a much better chance to not run away with the game, because this is not a blowout type game against a really good Toronto Raptors team. But I thought we could win the game, maybe anywhere between 5 and 8 points, and it started to look that way. Like I said, the Knicks jumped out quick on the back of Julius Randle. He was carrying the team, and his shots were falling. He even hit a 3-point shot off the glass. When stuff like that happens, you kind of feel like it's going to be your night. Things are going well. But unfortunately, the good and bad things about Julius Randle's game is he can take over a game just like that on an instant. But it's all about how you take over the game. You can go out there and get your buckets, feed your teammates, get them, open shots and good looks when the double team's coming to you, get everybody involved and get them in the game. But if you go about it in the wrong way, if you do it in like an ISO ball type mentality where you're backing down a player or you're one-on-one dribbling against a player trying to get to your spots, what happens is it's kind of like a baseball game. They say in a baseball game, sometimes the fielders, they're just out there standing around, they're playing with their glove, they're doing all types of things. And then, if nothing happens, if there's no action, sometimes they're not alert. They're not, so when a ball gets hit to them, their reaction is a little slow, or they're not as crisp as they would be had they been in the flow of the game. Like sometimes you got to get them, sometimes they're happy if the opposing team hits the ball so they can get into the action. Same thing goes for basketball. Some of these guys, have you ever played basketball as a kid, or even, depending on how old you are, even now, if you're still out there playing ball, how someone passes you the ball, you get a shot, a layup, a jump shot, whatever it is, goes down, you start feeling a little better about yourself. For whatever reason, it's a natural instinct. You go back on defense and you just play better defense. It's how it is, because, you just did something positive that was good, made you feel good, and then your defensive intensity, it just comes out. You start playing a little better. It always happens. I don't care who you are. You see it in the NBA and the lower levels of junior high basketball, high school basketball. Whenever a guy gets a basket, he goes out there and he starts playing better, or he gets a little bit more amped up. And that's the same thing with the Knicks. That's the reason why ISO ball, it takes away from the overall of the team. Like moving the ball and getting everybody touches gets them involved and makes them feel like, good about the game, and they hustle more. It's a better product. And I think that's kind of what we've been getting away from a little bit with Julius. Julius is the star of this team. Okay. No matter what's going on, Julius is the man, and the game still has to revolve around his talents, because he is one of the most talented guys on the roster. Is he the most talented? I don't know, because we've started to see like one young RJ Barrett has shown a little bit more as far as how he can get out there and do things, and he's getting his opportunities. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. But Julius is the man, so we gotta get him involved and make sure that he gets his touches, and hopefully he gets other people touches. What happened in the second quarter is that Julius was still carrying over from that really good first quarter he had. He was scoring efficiently, and mind you, on the offensive end, Julius had a great game. He was knocking down buckets after buckets after buckets, and he was very efficient, and he finished the game very efficient. But in that second quarter, he continued to try to do some of the same things he was doing in the first quarter. He went out there, he was trying to back down guys, he was trying to take guys off the dribble, and trying to do his thing. Now, mind you, Julius can do all of this stuff. He's worked on it. He's good at it. But you're playing the Toronto Raptor defense, a Toronto Raptor defense that is sound. They have sound principles, and they're coached by Nick Nurse, who is a really good coach. They don't just go play a team without studying what those guys like to do. They go out there to get their game plan. You don't think they know that Julius likes to go ISO ball and likes to go here, likes to cross over, do this move, do that move? They're well coached. And when Julius started to try to do this stuff in the second quarter, the defense clamped down a little bit more. You know, Anunoby, I think, was guarding him for a lot of this. He got to the spot before Julius got to the spot, and his hands were active. So Julius tried to put the ball on the ground. Anunoby's trying to poke, and he's getting lucky. Not lucky, but he's getting to the right spots, and he's poking the ball away from him, forcing Julius to do a turnover. Or the double's coming over to show Julius so that, you know, Julius has to make a pass, but if Julius holds on the ball too long, it's a turnover. Or he's being forced into a bad shot because Anunoby knows where Julius wants to go with the ball. So he plays up on him and plays a little better defense. I'm not going to say he got embarrassed in the first quarter, but in the first quarter, Julius was able to do whatever he wanted to do. So adjustments needed to be made. And Julius didn't make those adjustments. And there was a stretch in the second quarter where either he did take bad shots or there were turnovers. And the team got down because of it. Now, I wonder, and I'm trying to say this without making it seem like Julius is the problem here, because I don't think Julius is the problem. Could he have been the solution? Yeah, he could have changed things and turned this thing around a little quicker so that it wouldn't have become, you know, an explosion and blew up in our faces, and then Toronto would have kind of ran away with the game. But he's not the sole problem. He's a symptom of the bigger issue. And that issue is the Knicks have a big problem passing the ball to each other on the court. They're not keeping their heads up. They're not looking for their fellow teammates on the court when there's open opportunities to move the ball. You know, if you guys can think back to the first game of the preseason when we first got to see how the Knicks were going to be playing this year, that first game in the preseason was eye-opening. It was phenomenal. We all looked at the team. We said, whoa, this team, is this like the Golden State Warriors? Is this a San Antonio Spurs clone? Because they were moving the ball all over the place. They were hitting threes. It seemed like everything was coming easy because of how good they were moving the ball. Everybody was unselfish. It's like they wanted to all be out there playing for each other. They were happy. And that's the type of thing that we haven't seen since. You know, there's been spurts where the Knicks had good ball movement and they were looking like they were playing together. But if you can see progressively as these regular season games have gone on, it's starting to become, well, this guy's doing good, but this guy's not doing good. And this guy's not getting touches. This guy's getting touches. So the ball's not moving here. We're looking at guys slashing, getting to the rim, wide open, not getting the ball. And then by the time you want to throw the ball to the guy, you waited too long, and now the defense has collapsed, and then it becomes a turnover. So, you know, these are little things that if you look at it the wrong way, you say, well, why did he make that pass? Now that, you know, it's a turnover, he's not thinking right. No, he probably knew that the guy was open, but if you're not actively looking for guys, you're throwing the ball too late. The defense is there to stop you from completing what you're trying to do. We've been seeing a lot of that with this Knicks team. And because of it, you know, the team is looking like they don't have that same type of offensive identity they started the season with. We look a little lost out there. Even our veteran players like, you know, Alec Burks and Derrick Rose, you know, we're used to them coming in and contributing right away and being sound and playing smart basketball. Alec Burks has not looked the same since last year. Is there a big problem with him? I don't know. Or is he still trying to find his way in this new look offense? Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable and doesn't know exactly what his role is and how to go about being that player that we need, because he's definitely not looking like a piece that fits into this current team. And we have to definitely look at that and say, okay, well, what are we doing that's not allowing him to be the best version of himself when he's out there on the court? Because we're not getting it. Derrick Rose, who I don't want to say anything really bad about Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is still a leader of this team, and you know, he's a stabilizing force. But the past couple games hasn't looked like it. I think I think as we get to the box score, we're going to kind of see what the guys did last night, and you can kind of tell where they're at currently. And, one game doesn't mean everything, but this one game was kind of, we could already see it coming if you look at the last two games and how we got here. So I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Let me just give a quick shout out to Miss Geraldine McIva. Salute. Always good to see you, Geraldine. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in as always. Appreciate you. You know it. You're a SKFer. So I hope you're doing well. But if we take a look at, let's take a quick look at what we got going on here with this Knicks team and how they're looking. We look at the box score real quick. And mind you guys, I'm not going to be doing the momentum changes because we lost the game. And quite frankly, there was no positive momentum changes because we lost. So it just makes sense that momentum changes are for wins. So if you look at the box score, you can see right off the bat, RJ Barrett was our best player. I mean, RJ had 27 points. He was 9 of 13 from the field, so he shot 69% from the field, 5 of 8 from three-point land, 62%. RJ is starting to become a stone-cold sniper out here, folks. 5 of 8 from 3, 62% after the game he just had against the Pelicans, where he shot 75% from three-point line. I mean, I don't know what happened this offseason. I mean, it just looks like everything is coming easy to him, and he's really locked in. So you love to see it. You love to see it. So if we look at that, he also had 6 rebounds and 1 steal. He didn't contribute on the assist line because excuse me, I think somebody's got allergies in here. So yeah, he didn't contribute on that end of the court, which I think that would have been nice and it would have helped us. We definitely missed that because the last game against the Pelicans, he contributed nicely on the assist line as well. Julius had 22 points. Most of those points came in the first quarter. He was efficient. He shot 50% from the field. He shot 57% from 3. He had 9 rebounds. Julius always flirts with a double-double. And he had 5 assists. Once again, guys, you look at these stats, you say, this doesn't look too bad. Looked like Julius had a good game. But it's one of those things where you got to look at the whole game and look at how everything's being played out, because there was moments in this game where not only I mentioned the points where he had turnovers and there was a bad spell of poor shots and Toronto capitalized on that. With some bad defense here too, guys. Bad defense. I mean, OG Anunoby lit us up for 30-plus points. Once again, I'm not going to take away anything from him. I don't watch Toronto that often. I don't know too much about him as far as his offensive game. I know he's great defensively. So, I mean, if this is who he is now and people say he's looks like he's going to be an all-star this year, then that just means that Julius had a tougher battle on his hands, and his defensive efforts should have been a lot harder and a lot stronger. But it wasn't there, guys. Mitchell Robinson had 6 points, 12 rebounds, which we love the 12 rebounds from Mitch. He had 3 assists, 1 block. And he was 2 of 4 from the field, 50%. Yeah. And that's kind of what you expect from Mitch. If you get anywhere from 6 to 10 points, the points are gravy for Mitch. But what you do want is the 12 rebounds. That's a nice stat. We needed that. And I guess he was doing the same thing on the defensive end that we normally expect him to do. Because if I'm correct, I think the key players as far as points for Toronto were Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, and Fred VanVleet. Those were like the key players. It really came down to OG Anunoby being number one and Gary Trent Jr. being number two. Mind you guys, Gary Trent Jr. Had 20 plus points against us, and he averages 13 points a game. This is just not what you expect from a Thibodeau coach team on defense. Well, what can you say, man? It's just another one of those moments. Evan Fournier had 12 points, 5 of 13 shooting, so he shot 38% from the field. 2 of 7 from the three-point line. He shot 28%. So Evan Fournier didn't have a good game. He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. So this just wasn't a good game for Evan. And it all adds up. It's all cumulative. Kemba Walker had 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. He had 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Wasn't a horrible game from Kemba. This is kind of like if he's not, being a focal point of the offense and he's just playing in the background, this is a decent Kemba Walker game. This is the type of game that we could get, but honestly, this is the type of game we could get from the other guy we had last year at point guard, because he could put up 15 points. It wouldn't be as pretty, but he can do it. So that definitely didn't help. This is the stat that hurts me a little bit. This is the one that if this happens after you've already seen all the other stuff, we might be in for a long night. And that's Derrick Rose's line, because Derrick Rose had, in almost 20 minutes, 4 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal. He was 2 of 8 from the field, 2 of 8 for Derrick Rose, who usually lives around the paint and is money with the layups. 2 of 8, and then he was 0 of 2 from 3. No threes. 4 points. And that worries me, because it makes me feel like Derrick is not, continuing to be that focal point of the offense coming off the bench. And we need him to be that guy, because he's been great. And all those points and the way he plays, that everything he does makes our team better, especially the bench. He's the guy who controls what happens out there when he comes into the game as the sixth man and the bench starts to follow him. He's that guy who orchestrates the offense. And if he's giving us 4 points and 1 assist, it's definitely not good. Taj Gibson played 10 minutes and had 1 assist. Taj Gibson played 10 minutes, had 1 assist. He didn't attempt a shot. No rebounds, no blocks. So in essence, he gave us this is an old Kevin Knox line right here. He gave us a Kevin Knox line because there was nothing to show for it. And I'm not saying, look, Taj has been out there. He's been doing a lot for us. He's an older guy, but we need something from him, especially when we're struggling like this. Alec Burks, 5 points, 2 of 3 shooting, 66%. So, he was pretty accurate with his shots, but then one steal and 1 rebound in 16 minutes. The production is not there. It's just not. That's not going to get anything done for us. We need more, especially when we're struggling against a good Toronto Raptors team. Immanuel Quickley, 7 points, right? 1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3 for 16%. He had 5 assists, which is good. He was trying to get the ball to people, and he had 2 rebounds. But Immanuel Quickley's not. He's supposed to be one of the best shooters on our team, if not one of the best young shooters in the league. 1 of 7 from the field and 1 of 6 from 3. If anybody was having a tough time right now as a Knick, it's Immanuel Quickley. He is struggling like you can't even imagine how bad this looks. I'm sure he must be dealing with so much because he knows he's struggling. But on the outside looking in, as a Knick fan, we're looking at this and we're like, what happened to IQ? Where is the IQ from last year? This is not it. Uh, then you got Obi Toppin. Excuse me, Obi Top. That's another thing, guys. Obi Toppin played 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes. He had 6 points. He had 3 rebounds and 1 block, and he was 2 of 4 from the field. He shot 1 3, but he missed. All right, and he was able to get to the line, you know, 4 times, whatever. He missed. He was 50% from the line. But what I'm going to is he played almost 13 minutes, and he had 6 points, and he had 3 rebounds. Nothing was really going too well for the Knicks at the middle to end of the second quarter, and then in the third quarter, things were falling apart. You don't think that maybe against a younger team, and they're having their way with us a little bit on the defense, you don't think it would have been better to kind of give Obi a little bit more run, feature Obi in different situations, try to create more transition baskets, and you know, give Toronto a different look? You know, anything we can do to kind of, you know, show Toronto something other than what they saw in the first quarter with the ISO ball and how we were playing. Like, I'm just, certain things just don't make sense to me. And I don't know if that's all on Tibbs, but it's got to be, right? He's the coach. I mean, who else is going to say that this person needs to play more minutes and let me get him in and get this guy out? It's got to be Tibbs. We even saw, excuse me, there was a Jericho Sims sighting, but at that point, game was over. Tibbs was, you know, grasping at straws, trying to do anything to see if he can hit lightning in a bottle and get back in it. Maybe Jericho could do something on the defensive end, box out, get the boards to kind of give the Knicks more opportunities to get back in it. But the game was pretty much over. But in that time, he played a little over 5 minutes. He had 1 rebound, and that's pretty much it. That's what he did. So that was kind of it for the Knicks. And as I said before, I mean, OJ Onanubi had 36 points and Gary Trent Jr. had 26 points. So in those type of situations, you know, you're not going to win many basketball games. There's just nothing you could do about that. You have to figure out ways to play differently. And the Knicks didn't make the proper adjustments. So all we can say is this is a bad one, guys. This was one of those that they can use as you know, bulletin board material. They can take it and I guess use it as in practice to say, okay, this is what we did wrong and this is what we need to do to fix it. But I just think that we do have to worry about this team because there's a lot going on that it's just been growing. It started off as one of those, okay, well, we can't close out the game and we're making some mistakes. But, you know, before that happens, we were basically winning by 10, 11, 12 points, and we had the game in hand. And I guess maybe they felt a little good about themselves, like, okay, we're making mistakes down the stretch, but you know what? For the most part, we got these games, we got these teams. We're doing what we got to do. Let me tell you, it's not always the way the what you think it is. It just gets worse. It spirals out of control if you don't nip it in the bud. Salute to my man Pudge Nice. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Geraldine McIver, I agree with you. Tibbs didn't make the right adjustments. Obi should have played more. And why didn't he play Knox or Grimes? That's a good question, Geraldine. The Grimes thing, believe me, I'm like you and like a lot of other Knicks fans out there. I want to see this guy play. I want to see him out there doing what he's got to do because I think he can contribute. We know he's a really good shooter. Sometimes he can be a little cold, but that's what you expect from shooters. Like they got to get their rhythm. But on the defensive end, you know, he affects the game on the defensive end. He's got them young legs. He's a younger guy than some of the people we have on the court, like Burks, for example. So he might be able to affect things a little better. But Tibbs just doesn't see it that way right now. He just doesn't want to give these rookies the shot to be big contributors to the team. At least not yet. Maybe it's going to change. There was a point where he had to play quickly last year. There was a point where he had to use Obi. Now, Obi was a first-round pick, 8th overall, so I guess that was going to happen anyway. But quickly, he didn't have to give quickly the minutes he gave quickly early on, and we saw great things from quickly. Pudge Nice said because he can't coach. Hey man, listen. I don't want to take it. I don't want to take everything away from him and throw him under the bus because he did win Coach of the Year last year, and he turned us around. And we were very limited offensively. We didn't have this RJ last year. We had a pretty good RJ who could knock down the three at a high percentage, but his other game needed some work. He couldn't shoot pull-up jumpers. He couldn't really get to the rack. He couldn't draw fouls. But he definitely contributed. It's just that with who we had running the point, with Reggie Bullock at the shooting guard, and knowing that he could only do one thing around the perimeter, he wouldn't put the ball on the floor. And if he did, it wouldn't be the best outcome for us as a team. Like what can we do, and what can we really say? We can't destroy him because he is still a really good coach in this league, and he has turned our franchise around. Does he make mistakes? Yes. Should he be doing more? Should he be taking accountability as well? Yeah. And then I didn't see the post-game interview with Tibbs, so I don't know exactly what he said. If any of y'all did see, if he said anything that is important to what took place, feel free to share. But I don't know if he's taking accountability. I know I did see the Julius Randle interview, and Julius is not taking accountability. Julius is out here thinking that everything that happens is because of him and him only. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. If I go back and look at the other stars in the league that have come before us, the Jordans, the Kobes, the LeBrons, when they have their interviews, do they conduct themselves in that way? Is it all about what they're doing? And if, even if a team played them well, are they not giving that other team credit? I don't know. It could be. I just don't. I think Julius needs to humble himself a little bit. Understand that he played a very good Toronto Raptors team. They may not be the championship contending team that they were before, but they're still a very good team in this league. And they gave our team the business. And we all knew it was going to be a problem. Guys like Knicks 100, I'm giving him props. I'm giving him props wherever I go. Once again, he was one of the people that said that the Raptors have our number, and usually they play us very tough and beat us a lot of times that we play them. He was right once again. You can't take the Raptors lightly. And I said it, I don't know what show I said it on yesterday. Said if the Knicks go out there and they don't execute the right way, they're going to lose this game to Toronto. Toronto's a sound basketball team. They may have their own problems, but their problems aren't our problems. So we got to get it together. Definitely. Salute. What's going on? Supreme System Lord. Chop in the building. Let's see. Geraldine McIver said, like I said earlier, Tibbs can start the meal, but some other coach is going to cook it and serve the meal. You may be right. Yeah. It's one of them things like, he said everybody in the league is good, no accountability. Yeah. Pudge is like, Jules gonna be gone. I hope not. I think there's still time. We're 5-2. We only played 7 games. There's still time for him to turn this around. But if this is who he is and takes this going forward into the rest of the season, yeah, then he ain't the Julius that we had last year. Then he's someone else. We don't know this guy. I mean, technically we do know this guy. This is the guy we saw before last year. But no, we want the guy from last year back, because this new Julius, if this is who he is, that ain't gonna work, and we might have to make a move. I don't care if we gave him the bag. He can be that guy for somebody else, maybe a different type of system, a different type of team. But let's not go there yet. It's still too early. I don't even want to really put that out there, even though I just said it. Julius is our guy. He's our captain on the team. We need him. So let's hope he gets it together. Oh, thank you, Pudge. Yeah, I said it on Streets is Buzzing. Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, it's just one of those things where you as a Knicks fan watching our team that we love, we see how they play every given night, and we can see what's going wrong with them. And if you're a smart fan, which most of us are, we see how they're doing certain things that could become a problem. We also see different things that may be obvious that they can do to kind of help, so you can avoid this in the future. Geraldine knows. Yeah, he definitely better get that attitude together. Because if he keeps doing this, man, I didn't want to think about it, man. I don't even want to think about it. So let's stop talking about Julius for a quick minute, because you know what? He's just one part of the problem. As I said, he's not the whole problem. He's just a piece. Another big part of this team that we're noticing is their lack of working together. I already mentioned they're not passing the ball to each other. What happened? Like, what's different now than what we saw early in the season when the preseason started and when the regular season started? Why aren't they moving the ball? I was on Freezy earlier today, and I mentioned that after the first half, I looked at I was looking at the halftime score and some of the team stats. And before I even looked at what they did, I wanted to check and see, how many assists they had. I was saying, man, why aren't they giving each other the ball? It looks like they're not getting assists out here. And they had 15 assists. Now, mind you, 15 assists at a half, if you duplicate that at the end of the game, you got 30 assists. That's a good game for a team. 30 assists in a game is, it's a nice number. But it didn't look like that. If anything, it looked like we passed up so many different opportunities and good chances to score. There was moments that I already talked about with Julius where he made mistakes. He turned over the ball. He went a little ISO heavy, and he paid for it. There was also moments where I saw Evan Fournier pulling, and there was a guy open. There was one moment, I think in particular, where Evan had the ball, and there was two guys on him. Not necessarily with the double team, but the other guy was right next to him creeping, and one of the Knicks was wide open. And he didn't even turn his back to even look. Like, that type of stuff can't happen. That's the type of stuff that I'm worried about. And that's where sometimes when you have these guys that are quote unquote playmakers, when you bring in an Evan Fournier who can do all these type of things on the court, if he's doing that, that's where your point guard's got to step in. That's where Kemba's got to take control of the game and say, you know what, let me bring the rock up. Don't let Julius continue to bring the ball up the court, or even RJ, whoever it is. The point guard is there to help control the offense, to make sure everybody's running their proper sets, to get people open opportunities and make the flow of the game happen. And I didn't see a lot of that. Last night's game, I did not see a lot of it. Kemba still finished with 5 assists, so of course he did do some of that. He orchestrated the offense at certain points, but there was too much of that ISO ball stuff, and there was too much of guys trying to get their shot and missing. What happened to what we saw from the preseason? There was points where I was looking at these guys. I was looking at Kemba and I was looking at Fournier. I was like, man, these guys aren't shooting. Like, they're out here and they're not scoring. They're not taking a lot of shots. What happened? Like, how do we get these guys more involved? Maybe I should be careful what I wish for, because now that these guys are more involved, they're taking more shots, and it seems like they're not looking for the teammates. I don't know. Supreme System Lord says he has to adjust. He does have to adjust. He agrees with Pudge. Pudge nice on that. He is not the only scorer. Correct. That's for Julius. He definitely needs to do that. Geraldine says that's why I said I'm taking one game at a time. Can't get too high, get too low. It's a fact. You're right about that. We can't get too high or get too low because there's just too much going on around the NBA. There's a lot of parity. A lot of teams aren't necessarily where they want to be, and I've said it, multiple times already. After a month of games, should I say not a month of games? After 20 games, let's give it a 20 game mark. After 20 games, a lot of these teams that we're used to seeing them do well, like the Brooklyn Nets and all these other teams, they're gonna start to show themselves again, and things are gonna start to move the way you're used to seeing it. Hopefully, the Knicks are in that mix. Hopefully, they're not going the opposite way. Supreme said there's no I in team. Facts. Appreciate you, Pudge. Appreciate you. Kemba is too nice. That may be, that's a good point, Pudge. Maybe he is too nice. I mean, right now, I swear, I love the addition of Kemba. It's great. It's a nice to have a guy like this who, his shot is pure. He's a really good shooter. Got to give Kemba some credit, man. This guy's a really good shooter. But he's out there smiling on the court. When he makes a mistake, he's smiling. I guess you're happy about that. That he's not the opposite of that. He's not getting crazy because he misses a shot or somebody didn't make a good play and then he starts taking it out on the team. But there is something to having some type of fire. We haven't seen Kemba mad out there. We haven't seen Kemba get embarrassed and he starts to, outside of the preseason, should I say, we haven't seen him go out there and say, you know what, I got to go out there and get it going because these guys are trying to embarrass me. I'm trying to embarrass our team. We haven't seen that yet. He definitely been real nice out there. Tell Randall to move. Yeah. The point guard, especially a point guard you respect like Kemba or Rose, they got to command the stage. They got to put people in position. And everybody listens to the – if you got a good point guard on your team, everybody in the court listens to that person. And they do what that person says because they know that person has the game plan, knows what needs to be done for them to succeed, and he's just calling it out or kind of putting you in the right position. And we are not getting that. We are not getting that lately. Kemba knows Julius is the man. He has to be on some Chris Paul type like I'm here now. Yeah, he seems like he's on that. Yeah, like last year was my coming out party. I was the most improved player. Now it's my next step to show you that I'm a superstar in this league type thing. I see what you're saying. He's definitely, he seems like he's taking that approach. Geraldine Randall will be fine because I think there might be some I guess you're saying ego problems. He just can't play ISO ball. He has help. Yeah, he can't. You're right. He's got to do more. I actually like Julius to become a lot more unselfish. I would love him to say, you know what? I'm going to average 8 or 9 assists a game. Now, last year, he had a double-double, right? And he averaged 6 assists, I believe. I want him to say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and average 8 or 9 assists a game. If Julius Randle averages 8 or 9 assists per game that he plays with this Knicks team, we win a lot of basketball games. I guarantee you. And he'll still be able to get his points. But the point is he'll get everybody else involved. If you, as the star of your team, go out there and get your buckets and you get the rest of the guys around you involved, then they're going to look to get you baskets. They're going to be like, oh, man, let me get it back to my man over here because he's doing what he got to do for me. He's getting me shots. He's getting me open. He's putting me here. He's making things right for my game. It sounds simple to me, but I'm not an NBA player, and I don't know what it takes to be a star in the league and be on his level. So maybe it's not that simple. But I would think that if Julius kind of looks at what he succeeded in last year and what got him to that most improved player, it was him improving on his all-around game, not just scoring, not just getting the rebounds that we know he can do. He improved on his defense, and his facilitating, or should I say getting assists, getting other guys baskets, went up tremendously. And that's what helped. Well, coach for set the standard. Yeah. Did you underestimate the Raptors? Well, I didn't personally. I don't know if the Knicks did. I thought that I know how good the Raptors can be. Once again, I said that if the Knicks don't go out there and execute better, if they keep doing the same type of things they were doing against the Celtics, against the Bulls, and against the Pelicans, we're losing against Toronto. I said it point blank like that because we all know that, you got to respect the Raptors no matter what, no matter who they lost. No Kawhi. They had no they had no Scotty Barnes last night. They had no Pascal Siakam last night. And these are two of their best players. That was just rough, man. That was just a rough one. Yeah, we need wins. We need these guys. I know I mentioned this in the past, and you guys can all take a look yourselves. But if you have a chance, I don't want to pull it up now because I'll focus on it some other time, maybe, because I know a lot of other content creators have kind of focused on the schedule, so I don't want to do what they've already done so well. But our schedule is going to get bad. This November is a pretty fair month. We've got some really big games in that month. December the same. January is it starts to get a little tough. February is a monster. A pure beast. These games that we're playing now, we need all these games. It's not, of course, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. We're fine. We're still 5-2. We're tied for like second in the Eastern Conference at the top of the division. So we're doing well. Bulls won, so they're at the top. I think they're at the top by themselves. They're 6-1. You hate to hear it. Supreme System Lord said the coach has to set the standards and let Kemba run the offense like a floor general. Yeah, that's right. What up, Worldwide L? Salute. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Chop, where's my plate? Yeah. Okay. Hey, man, be careful out there, Supreme. Don't get into no accidents, man. We need you. We need your takes, but we appreciate you. You're part of the Knick family, so we want to see you around. I was trying to hide from you, Worldwide L. I'm late, sorry. All right. Oh, they got some fantasy team flow going on over there. Okay. Ooh, Worldwide L says we might have seen the last of IQ for a few games. Tibbs sacrifice a win and Fournier playing time just to get a long look at IQ. That's a good point, Worldwide L. That's a good point, man. You're right. Maybe he was because he hasn't been playing IQ a lot lately. And last night we saw him more than we've seen him recently. Maybe he said, yeah, I'm going to put you out there and see what you got going on. And it didn't look good. It did not look good. Once again, IQ, he finished with 7 points, 1 of 7 shooting from the field, 1 of 6 from three-point land. He had 5 assists, but that shooting was not good. Supreme says Julius is good, but he's not a facilitator. Let the floor general conduct the offense and flow of the game, period. You're right. I agree with you. Sometimes it's that sexy thing in the league, right? To put these wing players or a gifted shooting guard, give them the ball and let them come up and then kind of go from there. Because what happens is if you bring up a star player who can get buckets for you, if you allow him to bring the ball up the court, he can look for somebody and see who's open and create. But if not, if he feels the window, he can just go and you get easy buckets quicker. And I think that's what a lot of coaches in the league have been doing ever since they've switched to that. When you got guys like LeBron's and the Ben Simmons and of the world in the game, all that type of stuff developed. The Scottie Pippen used to do it real well back in the day for the Bulls, but you don't usually see a lot of it. Usually it's the point guards to control the offense and really facilitate. And also Giannis. Giannis is very good at that too. Sorry. Imagine if the Knicks get Fred VanVleet in the offseason. I guess that's still a possibility, right? I think VanVleet only, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he only signed the 1 year. I know he was up for a contract, but maybe he just signed the 1 year to kind of get through this year. I think that's the case. Let me know if that's the case, if anybody knows. No. It looks like VanVleet signed the 4-year, $85 million deal. So that's he's not a free agent until 2024. So unfortunately that's not going to happen. So I don't know, man. I don't know if you have any other ideas at point guard that maybe could help us in a veteran presence or something like that. Next 2 games are tough. Yes, they are. Why else would he leave him in the game? He was trash yesterday. Yeah, he was. You know what? Sometimes you gotta take accountability for your game and what's going on with you. And so IQ definitely has some stuff he's got to work on. He's got to look at that game. And I think he also, remember, they've been saying that IQ is one of Tibbs' favorite players on the team because of his bulldog type attitude and the way he acts in practice and the way he talks. So maybe Tibbs was like, you know what, I'm gonna put you out there and see what you can do. But also, if you don't do anything well and you're playing bad, I'm gonna let you sit and stew in it and go back to the drawing board and you look at your game and see what's going on with you. I don't know. Geraldine said the worst team can come in and beat you. We have to go out and play our game like we did with Boston and the 76ers. 48 minutes of ball. You're right. You are right. We definitely are not doing that. And I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. What is it with our Knicks teams that we can't play 48 minutes of basketball? Why can't we put a whole 4 quarters together? What is that? Supreme said, right. Imagine if we had VanVleet, would Julius still be running the point forward? No, he wouldn't. He would have to defer to VanVleet because VanVleet is a true point guard. Canal, salute. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. IQ is Tibbs' pet. Maybe true. Maybe true. Free Grimes. Yeah. Oh, man, the movement. Hashtag Free Grimes. It started. Yeah, no. I don't know, guys. The other thing that I wanted to touch on that I think kind of has been developing, everybody's talking about it, is the fact that maybe we have a new number 2. Some people want to give him the number 1. We got to calm down, guys. Let's not go crazy. It's 7 games into the season. Julius Randle is the reason why our team turned around last year. He's the reason why we went into the playoffs feeling good about our team. We knew we had Julius. We had other weapons around him. Let's not throw it all away because he's getting off to a bad. I mean, technically, not every game has been bad, but these last few games have been bad as far as his mentality and his decision making. Because last night's game was good. He put together a good all around basketball game offensively. Defensively, he was a little lost. Defensively, he was a little lazy. Defensively, he lacked some effort, but he wasn't the only one. He was not the only one. There was other guys on the floor that were not moving the way they should move in the Tibbs defense. Okay. And I'm going to keep harping on Tibbs defense because you know what? That's who he is. He's a defensive coach, and he calls a good defensive game. Guys need to go out there and execute. And last night, they weren't doing it. They were not doing it. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's the point. Randall has to let the point guard who are vets like Kemba and Rose conduct the game. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And Pudge Knight says RJ is not number one yet. Yeah, no, I agree. He's not. He just isn't. I mean, I love RJ. RJ is my favorite Knick right now, and I will get an RJ jersey eventually, but right now, not yet. Pudge says he hasn't seen that defense since last year. Yep, you're right. We haven't seen that type of defense, and we knew. Let's be fair. We knew the defense wasn't going to be what it was last year. Say what you will about the other point guard that's no longer here. He was a good defender. Very good team defender, one of the best team defenders. Individually, he was a great defender when he came into the league. Not so much, not so much last year. But he definitely was a pretty good defender. And we already know how good of a perimeter defender Reggie Bullock was for us last year. Although, I have watched other people talk about the fact that, they've looked into the stats. And even though Reggie Bullock was such a great defender for us on the perimeter, RJ had some better numbers than him in certain cases on the perimeter. So it just shows you the slow progression of RJ. That defense was coming. He just, needed more time to be out there working, but it was on its way. And we're seeing a lot more of it this year. He's still not locked down, guys. He's getting better, and he'll continue to get better after this whole year is said and done. And who knows, maybe next year he'll become that lockdown defender, but he's still got to go through it. And, when you become a really good defensive player, you got to learn the tendencies of everybody around the league, and you have to guard those guys. This year, RJ is going to get a chance to guard a lot of the best players in the league, so he'll be able to learn what they like to do. We already saw how that's relevant. We saw how he played the Washington Wizards, how he played Bradley Beal, because he's worked out with Bradley Beal in the offseason. He knew his tendencies, and it worked in his favor. It was great. So we'll give it some time. Pudge says, get the new city one. Yeah, man, I want that jersey. So if I can get it, if it's not sold out when it comes out, and if I have the money for it, I'll definitely get it. But the way my bank account's set up right now, and they may charge a grip for that, so I'm gonna have to put that on the back burner. Still, Knicks fans is a passion of love right now. The money ain't rolling in, so let's see. Supreme said, but he feels like how Melo feels, or felt like he has to be the man. Yeah. You might be right, Supreme. I think he does feel that way. I think he does feel like he has to be the man, and he has to continue to show that he's that guy. Like when you play the Knicks, you got to worry about Julius. But what would be the point of putting this these new pieces around him? What's the point of bringing in a Fournier and a Kemba, who you've seen the production. You've seen when they're going good, what they can do. Randall's got to, take a back seat. He has to. I think it's one of those things where, when you're young, when we've played sports and been on teams, sometimes you can be unselfish to a fault and give guys, set them up. I play with guys on the court, and, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my man's the ball. I'm going to get him off and get him. And then you pass the ball, and the ball don't come back. Like, they get their numbers, and you're like, yeah, I'm on the court. Maybe Julius feels that way. Maybe he feels like, I definitely want to get my teammates involved, but right now, if I get them involved and they're going well, I probably won't see the ball the way I'm used to seeing it. So I can't. And Julius is a rhythm player too. That's another thing. Like if you guys noticed last year, I don't know if I'm 100% right on this, but I always felt this way from what I saw. When Julius plays limited minutes, he doesn't usually have good games. When Julius was playing those high minutes, high 30s, even 40, it seemed like him being out there, he was able to be in the flow of the offense for a long period of time. He had better games. So when I'm saying it on this way, like if he's trying to get other guys involved and the ball's not coming to him and he gets stagnant, he's not putting up a shot every so often, it hurts his game. And then, he doesn't, I think he probably feels like he's not going to be as productive. It's still a little bit of a selfish mentality, but he is a star. And sometimes to be a star in this league, you got to be a little selfish, but not all the time. Yeah. He was a solid defender. It's true. Them jerseys are fire. They're dope. Yep. Yes. Yeah. They give you that look, right? Yeah, man. I used to love those jerseys. And I would love if they came back next year. But right now we're going with these Halloween joints. Yeah, may have to. Geraldine says, I think Kemba can do a lot more, but I really think he's holding back because of Randall and Tibbs' game plan. I think so too. And keep in mind, even though I want Kemba to be able to get out there and do his thing on the court, I like the fact that Kemba's playing with some control. I don't want him to feel like he has to do too much for us because, one, I don't want him to feel like this is like those Charlotte teams, because it's not, where you have to do everything. We got options here. Two, I think it's nice to have Kemba doing so much, only this much, because I don't want him to get hurt. I'm sorry. I just feel that way. Like with these guys that are injury prone, I feel like the more you use them, the more they break down. So I like the fact that he's not doing too much out there. I mean, that's just me. I'm being a little selfish. I'm trying to preserve him for the full ride this season. Knicks Universe saying Evan might get benched. You know what, guys? I'm starting to realize that Evan might be one of those guys that is gonna be like the darling of the Knicks, and then he's gonna be hated by the Knicks fans as well throughout the season. He's gonna have those moments where it's like, he's the best thing since sliced bread, and then there's gonna be other moments where we're like, oh, Evan, man, what's wrong with this guy? It's just gonna be one of those things. He seems like he's one of those players. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Jules is spoiled now. Used to being the king. Yeah, he got a lot of that last year. He got a lot of that. We did help that. We made it so. Call him the Black Messiah and everything. Yeah. New York need that black. Yeah. Oh, I hear you on that. Oh, big task at hand. Have the Knicks become the Nets as far as style of play? I don't know. That's a good question, though. I don't think they've turned into the Nets as much as I think their offense is just so much more similar to the Spurs and the Hawks. Are they being as efficient and carrying out how this whole thing works like those teams? Probably not. But I do think that that's kind of the blueprint for what they're trying to do. A lot of people are pointing towards the Golden State Warriors, but the Golden State Warriors is just so high paced. They're like a fast moving machine they got going on over there. I don't think the Knicks move that way. And the Golden State Warriors are a very good passing team too. And with a guy like Steph who doesn't mind having the ball, and passing it to you because he knows he's going to get it right back. They're very unselfish. So I would say they're a little bit more like the Spurs, more like Atlanta, which Atlanta is not off to the greatest of starts either. They've got their own problems, but I don't know. I don't know. You know what? What I will be doing is I'm going to be kind of looking at a little bit more of the teams around the league for some other stuff we got going on. And when I do that, I'll take a good hard look at the Brooklyn Nets. And if I think about it, maybe I'll go back to this at some other time. That's what the streets are saying about Evan. Blessings to everyone. Tat Face, appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Basketball roast. I think you should get each other in more space and bench quickly. Yeah. What's up, Basketball roast? Thanks for tuning in. I think that might happen, man. I think that might happen. I don't want to see quickly get pushed and shelved, put on the back burner, because sometimes with these young players, when you do things like that, make these tough calls to put them in situations where they're not a part of the offense, or they feel like they're not a part of the team. It affects their psyche. I mean, players are sensitive creatures. They're sensitive animals too. And I don't know if it's as big of a deal in basketball as it is in like sports like baseball or whatever, but I think it could affect him, especially after. Imagine being Emmanuel quickly and going through your rookie hazing, all that stuff, picking up the bags, all this stuff. Tibbs finally calls on your number. You go out there, you light it up. The garden is rocking. People love you. Quickly. IQ. He's the man now, right? Then he goes through what we thought was the rookie wall. I mean, at one point, we thought he might be a rookie of the year, or at least in the conversation. Then he goes through the rookie wall, and his game takes a big downturn. Now, okay, he finishes the season on a decent note. He kind of gets a little bit of that back, but he never achieves what he achieved when he first came into the league, at least those first few games with the Knicks. Then you go into the summer league, and Tibbs gives him the keys. Here, you orchestrate the offense. You're the man. You show these rookies like Grimes, McBride, and the other guys who might make the team or at least make the G League. You're the man. You and Obi are running the ship. Then we get into the regular season. We bring in Evan Fournier. We bring in Kemba Walker. And now you're not doing so good. Now you're like not getting the minutes you were hoping to get. You're on the bench looking at McBride and looking at Grimes like, oh, what's up, guys? Yeah, I don't know. Tibbs, man. Like this has got to be weighing on quickly, man. He's got to be going through a lot. Tat Face, got that same hat, bro. Looks cool on you. Let's go, Nick. Yeah. Yeah, man. This hat is fire. I like this hat. When I was on earlier with Uncle Freezy, Quiet Money had the same hat on too. We was rocking. We was the Hat Twins, the New Jersey Nets. I hear you, bro. That's who they are right now. They in Brooklyn. Yep. He's spoiled. Geraldine says, but that's what Tibbs does. He will play his guys until they break down. Also, Jules needs to play well with his teammates. He can still be the man, but we have the shooters. You're right. Sometimes, all it takes is for the team to kind of get together, have a good practice, talk to each other. Because, on the court, you obviously don't want to talk. I'm sure in practice they talk. On the court, you don't want to talk because you don't want to give the opposing team any ammo to use against your team. You don't want them talking like if Evan's not happy that Julius didn't pass him the ball, you don't want Evan to say, yo, Julius, what are you doing? Not on the court. In practice is a different story. They need to get out there and talk to each other and hell, they went out to dinner with Tibbs the other day. When's the last time that happens with a coach and players, and especially a Knick team and the coach? They definitely have a type of camaraderie. They got like a family type of dynamic. So let's get it together, man. Let's work together. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Pudge. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Supreme. IQ getting flamed right now. Yeah, he's getting the business, man, because, everybody sees it. He's just struggling really bad. And then last game didn't help his cause. He did have 5 assists, guys. So, keep in mind what I always say. with these guys is when your game is not going the right way, do other things to help. Get rebounds, get assists, get steals, do something to affect the game. And at least he tried to do that. Grimes better play tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, if you were a betting man, would you bet on that? Because I don't know. I'm not ready to do it yet. Evan Fournier is y'all best three-point shooter. Put him, RJ, and Kemba in a three-man swing in motion. I like that. I agree with that basketball roaster. Yeah, you're right. And I think that Tibbs definitely needs to that needs to be one of those that we look at. Although I will tell you one thing, even though that statistically is career-wise is the truth, RJ is out there shooting that thing, man. RJ is lighting it up right now. RJ's shooting so far this season he's got to be. I don't know if he has enough attempts made, but he's got to be one of the top 10 in 3-point percentage in the league, I would think. Be civilized. Salute. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you. Always a pleasure. Geraldine is letting it fly. She on fire. That's right. Salute. Yes. Yo. Yeah, so I want to kind of get away from this for a little bit and touch on the next game that is going to be happening because the Knicks are going to have to get right back at it and not worry about what just took place. We got to get right back at it and forget it. It's over. Game's out of here. Now we got the Indiana Pacers. We got to move on. No more of that. Let's not cry over spilled milk. It's a new team to worry about. So why don't we get into the pregame matchups for the next game against the Indiana Pacers? As you guys can see, we got the Pacers up next, and I think that the 3 matchups to look for in this one. Now, mind you, Karis LeVert is back, so he is going to be a big contributor to the team, and it's something we got to worry about. I don't think he's going to be starting as of yet because I think they're kind of working him back into game shape, so he might be coming off the bench. So therefore, I didn't put him as a key matchup. I could have put him as a matchup as well because I do think he's going to be a big part of what they're doing out there. So hopefully our bench players play well against him. But I think what we do need to think about is these guys right here. And, as you can see, RJ Barrett versus Chris Duarte is going to be a huge matchup for us. I think this is one of those that we need RJ to win this matchup. Duarte he's not a real rookie, guys. We know this guy is like 24 years old or 24 or 25, but he's definitely 24. And he's a well-skilled player. Like he's out there, doing what he wants on the court, and he is comfortable. So I expect him to go out there and try to get his buckets against RJ. RJ is going to have a tough defensive task at hand, and I'm not even sure that Duarte will be like RJ will guard Duarte for most of the time. I hope he does because, like, when you're playing a team like this, it's not just about what you guys are doing on offense. It's these defensive matchups that are important. And if we look at what Indiana has done so far in this short season, Duarte has been a big part of that. He's been scoring around 18 points for them. So it makes sense to me that you put RJ on him and try to kind of contain that so he's not a big part of the offense. And on the flip side, it's nice for RJ to be able to go up against Duarte. Duarte is going to have to run around with RJ, especially the way RJ is playing lately. RJ has been, guys, he's been, lights out. He had 20 points against the Bulls, and he had 35 against the Pelicans, and then he had 27 last night against the Raptors. So It looks like he's still telling the truth when he said, I get off to slow starts. Because ever since those first couple games, he's finally starting to get his game moving, and it's flowing nicely, man. RJ is the man right now. So I love everything about what he's doing out there, and I want him to continue to put that pressure on the opposing team's defense and make them work. Make Chris Duarte and whoever else, Karis LeVert, whoever's guarding him, make them work. Then you got the second matchup was Mitchell Robinson versus Miles Turner. Now this is great because not only there should be some underlying stuff here, guys. Mitchell Robinson should already have like that thing, like, oh no, I'm going out there and I'm shutting Miles Turner down, and I'm basically gonna go out there and show him that I'm much better than him. Because Miles Turner was mentioned in many trade talks with the Knicks, and a lot of times Mitchell Robinson was the person that was supposed to be going back in that trade. So I think this is one of those games that Mitch should have circled. Like, okay, I'm going up against Miles. I'm going to have to, and if I want to get them the defensive player honors and be on them teams, I'm going to have to do my thing against Miles, who was mentioned in trades for me. So I'm looking forward to this one because Miles Turner he's a tough matchup, man. He's already put up 40 this year, I believe, at one point in one game. The guy can do everything Mitchell can do. And in some ways, I think he's better defensively because his shot blocking is definitely better. I mean, I think he's usually number 1 or number 2 in the league. His timing is great, excellent. He's not as good of a rebound. I think Mitch can be a better rebounder than him. Mitch just has to, put the effort out there. But Mitch, we've talked about this in the past. Mitch has all the tools to be able to get double-digit rebounds every night. And he just hasn't put it all together yet. Last night he did have 12 rebounds, so hopefully as he's getting more comfortable, it's getting easier to him. Remember, this guy's a big guy now, big body, still trying to fill into shape and get his legs under him. But Miles is tough, and Miles can shoot the three. That's another thing that Miles got going for him. Oh man, if Mitchell Robinson could shoot the ball, do you know what we would be talking about with Mitch? Mitch would be getting the bag and then some, and we'd be talking about him like being an all-star because he could definitely do it. And I wonder what's holding Miles Turner back on that same end. Why isn't he a guy who's pushing to become that high level type of basketball player who could be an all-star? Because he's got everything. And then our last matchup is Julius Randle versus Domantas Sabonis. I don't know what we're going to get from this matchup, guys. If you had asked me about this matchup going into the season, before the season started, I'm like, I can't wait for this matchup. Last year's basketball game when the Knicks played the Indiana Pacers was my favorite game of the whole season. The Knicks went on a run in the second quarter in the last 5 minutes, 6 to 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the second quarter, where they played the best defense I've seen them play all year. They were in these guys' faces. Derrick Rose was clapping in the when Derrick Rose gets hyped and starts clapping, something's going on. And they were getting busy. And Domantas and Julius were going back and forth. It was getting chippy. Domantas was getting mad. He was getting in Julius' face. He was getting in the ref's face because he felt like Julius was beating him up. He wasn't getting calls. Oh, that game was great. I don't feel like we're going to see that tomorrow. I hope we do, but I just don't like where Julius's mentality is right now. So I don't know if that's what we're going to see. But that's the type of fire and grit that we need. That's what we need from Julius. But you got to be smart about it. Don't just go out there and go crazy with the ISO ball and complain to the refs and don't look for your teammates. We need his effort. Now, maybe this is what we need, guys. Maybe Domantas Sabonis will be out there, getting physical with Julius, and it brings out that effort. Because one of the things I complained about in last night's game is the effort of the team overall, and Julius was a big part of that. On defense, he was leaving Anunoby open for threes. There was points where the ball would shift and move, and Julius was a step late. Actually, a lot of players were a step late in their rotations. So there was easy baskets. Maybe Sabonis will bring out that fire. So Julius, because their size is similar. And they're both lefties. They've got, formidable type games, and they both can control the stage and take over. So this will be interesting. This will be a really good matchup to see. And I'm just hoping that Julius goes out there and kind of gives some of the same aggressiveness he had last night, but with smarter gameplay. Use your head, man. Don't go out there and try to go too crazy with the ISO ball. Get your teammates involved. Get that ball moving, and hopefully Tibbs allows the point guards to do their job and get Derrick Rose back into the flow of the game. Man, I tell you, they don't make it easy for us, man. As Knicks fans, it's never easy. Pudge says Tibbs went away from RJ. Him and Randall hate it. Yeah, you might be right. They might definitely be on something right now. But I don't want to say that's for real. I want to say that things just haven't worked out. And by the way, if anybody is available and wants to join in, feel free. We can chop it up for a little bit and talk about what took place in last night's game. The link is in the chat. By all means, I welcome you on. Salute to all of y'all. I appreciate y'all feedback. I thank you for joining and making this time. Normally I wouldn't even be on right now, but it's election day and I'm off from work. So salute. Like I said, the link is in the chat. Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, what's going on, brother, man? Salute. Good to see you. Appreciate you as always. Be Civilized says RJ is letting Evan Fournier know that he's the Robin. Yeah. Be Civilized, I think it's deeper than that. I think he's letting the league know that he's the Robin. Or at some point, you know what? If we wanted to, he might be the Batman. I still don't think he's ready yet for that. But yeah, there's something about RJ that you can't not like. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes too, but for the most part, his effort and his hustle, what he does out there in the court, you got to love this kid. He's humble. He was one of the only people that said last night that Toronto outworked them. Why is that coming from RJ? You know why? Because RJ is starting to become a star in this league. He's getting there. He's not there yet. He's getting there. And he understands that to be good in this league, you have to improve. You have to work on different aspects of your game. You have to put that effort in, but you also got to take accountability when things aren't going well. Maybe something Julius should learn. Pacers is tough. Yeah, they always play as good. I think we had a better showing against them last year, so we might have won the season series, but they're always tough against us. Yeah. Pudge Knight, agree. Randall don't want anyone to get more shine than him. A superstar makes others around him better. Can't be selfish. That's facts, Geraldine. Yeah. Pudge Nice agrees. That's what it is. Basketball Roaster says, put Mitch, Julius, and Taj out at the same time since Randall got range. I like that. Because you know what? It doesn't hurt them. Defensively, Mitch obviously is Mitch. And Taj is still a good defender. He just obviously doesn't have the athleticism or the height to really deal with some of the taller young big players in the league. But he still has his moments where he affects them on the defensive end. And if you got Mitch out there with Taj at the same time with Julius, I like what you're doing there, Basketball Roaster. That's another interesting lineup that might work from them to kind of deal with some of the stuff that's going on. That might work. Yo, let Coach Nick in the panel. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna paste the link once again. The link is out there. I think Nick was trying to get him before, but it said that there was a problem, like the mic and the compatibility issue, so it wouldn't allow me to bring him in. So maybe if you see that, definitely, you know, click on it again and just make sure your mic is working and your camera, even if your camera's off, make sure your mic is working so I can get you in here. I'd love to have you on. Facts. RJ getting in his prime before time. Yeah, man. Third year in the league, 21 years old. RJ's growing before our eyes, man. This is beautiful. Being a Knicks fan all these years, I never got to really see. I don't think I got to see a young player grow and become good in the league before. So this is a first for me. But you love to see it. You love to see it. Oh, okay. Be Civilized says Todd's probably out or day-to-day next game due to him injuring his ankle on that Raptor match. Right. He did tweak that ankle in that game. He did. Josh, where you at? They want you in the panel, man. Streets is buzzing. Salute, CT. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, man. If you're not busy, if you have some time, definitely you can jump in here too. I'd love to chop it up with you guys. Basketball Rose says Randall, RJ, and Kimber need 22 points apiece, and Evan Fournier needs 4 threes. That's the blueprint. I like it. Pud says I'll get on the show one day. Man, what would Uncle Freezy say right now? That day's today, man. What you doing? RJ is our new era Bernard King. He definitely could be. The one knock on RJ, and mind you, this is not a bad thing. It comes with him being more comfortable out there on the basketball court. I don't have many negative things to say about RJ Barrett. Every year he improves. Every year he gives you something new. First year in the league, he was wet behind the ears, still learning the game, didn't know exactly where to be, try to find himself. His numbers didn't translate that well. He couldn't shoot. He was taking some poor shots. He was just hype. He was just trying to get out there and do whatever to make his mark. Wasn't really working. And his shot was a little broken. It wasn't horrible, but he was very inconsistent. He started working with our man Drew Hanlon, working on his form, giving him new principles, different release points. Last year, he had one of his best shooting years as a Knick, or the best shooting year for him as a Knick. He shot around 41% from three, around 41%. And he definitely, really worked on that set shot and become a much better shooter. But we said, hey, you know what he needs to work on? He needs to work on getting into the lane more. He needs to work on going right more, using his right hand. He needs to work on pull-up jumpers. Excuse me. He needs to basically figure out how to take guys off the dribble and do things of that nature. What have we seen these last 3 games from RJ Barrett? Everything I just mentioned. Going right, going left easily, putting the ball on the floor, step backs. He did a pull-up. I mean, he did a couple pull-ups. What are we going to say? And mind you, doing all that while still knocking down that set corner shot wherever he's at, it's money. He may miss here and there, but for the most part, that's 3 points. RJ is just he's putting in that work, man, and it's translating. RJ is mature. CT. Josh said the Randall slander needs to stop. Not saying you. I hear you, bro. I hear you, and I want it to be known that everything that's going on with the Knicks is not Randall's fault. I'm pointing out what Randall's not doing well. I'm pointing out where Randall's not taking accountability for what he's doing on the court and not even giving account, not being humble and saluting the team that he's playing because they played very good against him. And he hasn't been doing that. He hasn't been doing that all year. He definitely didn't do it against the Bulls because the Bulls was one of the games where I can definitely say that the defense that they were playing was affecting him. The way the guards were playing him, the way the small forwards were playing him. We saw what Melo Ball was doing to him. Uh, you know, I mean, Lonzo, sorry, not LaMelo. We saw what Lonzo Ball was doing to him. So, it is what it is. I wouldn't give any particular player credit either. But I would say that the Bulls had a good game plan. They executed well. Maybe in some cases they were quicker to their spots. They were more active than we were, and they had a good defensive plan against me. But I will leave it at that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're being humble. You're giving some props to the team that played you, but you're not saying that they're better than you. They just executed in certain ways better, and you're giving them some credit. But whatever. That's Julius, man. Josh, you started the slander bee. Geraldine, don't play. Geraldine, it's not about who's Batman or Robin. Just play the game the right way. The whole starting five are all Batman and Robin. Play team ball. I agree. Randall needs to play small forward. It's interesting that you brought up Randall playing small forward. I didn't think about that. The one thing I would say about Randall playing small forward, I don't know if you guys really watched last night's game. Randall couldn't stay with Onanubi. Onanubi has a smaller frame than him. He's still a big, a big athlete, but he has a smaller frame than him, and he seemed like he was quicker to everywhere on the court than Randall. Randall is not a slow power forward. He's probably one of the faster power forwards, but there's certain matchups that aren't good for him. Anunoby is one of those matchups. He just really couldn't keep up with him. So that worries me. Like if you put him in a situation where he has to play small forwards around the league, like Paul George or guys like that, I think he might get exposed on the defensive end. Oh, and speaking of that, I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't want this to be one of those Randall slander things. It's not really a Randall slander. It's more of a, do we see more of Randall because this is not happening? So what I'm saying to you guys is, now that our old point guard is no longer here, now that Reggie Bullock is no longer here, who were both good defensive presences, along with RJ Barrett. So keep that in mind. Last year we had those two guys and RJ Barrett on the perimeter. So that affects the game in big ways, right? It makes it a little easier for the team to play better defense overall because those guys are guarding guys. Now that you got guys like Evan out there and Kemba especially, who's, poor defensively, those guys are something that Randall has to kind of look at. Like, okay, Evan's guy just beat him, or Kemba's guy just beat him into the lane. Let me go help out, or let me try to show. So then your defense that you're playing on your man is lacking. So now Randall gets exposed because Randall's not a great defensive player, but he was really good. I think he was one of the tops in the league at defense in the paint, right? But as we know, hold on one second. Let me see if I can. Oh, I just lost him. Nick was trying to get in, and then I lost him just that quick. If you can try again, Nick, listen, I'm here, man. Yeah, so this year we see it more than ever. Everybody's shooting threes. So it's not so much about scoring in the paint. So what the defensive plus for Randall was how he played defense in the paint. But now a lot of guys aren't scoring in the paint. They're scoring around the three, which that's not a defensive strength for him. And then he's helping out. And he's a little slow-footed. His reaction is a little slow because sometimes it looks like he's thinking too much or not thinking fast enough. So Randall's getting a little exposed on the defensive end. It's only a symptom of the problem, guys, a symptom. He's not the main cause, and he's not the only issue. You take Randall out of last night's game, the Knicks still lose. It's not like they win because Randall, wasn't there. They just played poor. There's no I in team. Randall lives and dies in the perimeter. Might as well play small forward. Nah, Pudge, Randall needs to let everyone else eat and play team ball. Yeah, I agree. Great take. Taj is freely Taj is really a power forward too. Yeah, no, he is. He is. Quarterly, really. Thank you, Pudge. Appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you guys. You guys make the show better. You guys, not only do you ask questions to help me think about things, but you keep the chat going and you keep this being something fun and something that can get us, talking about everything going on, not just the negative stuff. We talk about the positive. It all comes out here. So I appreciate you guys. Chill, calm, Knicks talk. Yeah, man, that's who I am. Some people growing up, they used to be like, "Yo, why are you so calm, man? Why are you so laid back?" That's just how I am. I'll tell you, when I'm not that way, that's when there's a problem. Oh, Josh is on the road. All right, man. Yo, be safe out there. Appreciate you. Uh, okay. Let's see here. Hold on. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, you do, Pudge. Yeah, we don't go off names. We go off how you play game by game. And you know what? That's one of the great things about our team, guys. We're the Knicks, and we've had to struggle to get everything these past few years. Nobody wanted to come here. There was a lot of dysfunction. We've dealt with it for so many years, and the fact that now we got a team that's playing much better basketball, and they look like they like being out there together and working for one another. It's great. And the rest of the league, you can have your superstars. Eventually, we'll get to the point where you might want to come over here, but we may not want you. But that's as long as our guys play the way they need to. Julius got to step up his game as far as team basketball. That's all it is. Everything else Julius is doing is fine, guys. He's still out there. He can score the bucket in many different ways. He rebounds. He gives, a certain number of assists, but he can do more of that. He can find his guys and be the type of guy who's unselfish, because Julius gets double teamed a lot, and sometimes he like feels like he's got to force his way through the double team to still score. We don't need that. Smash that like buttons. Thank you. Be civilized. Okay. All right, Josh. I'll be here for a little while longer. If you can get on in about 10 minutes or so, appreciate you. We need defense in the starting lineup to win games. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, what's up? Salute, Stephen Fox. Good to see you, bro. Thank you for tuning in as always. Pudge, I would have Randall guard the shooting guard and have RJ guard the best player. I like the idea of having RJ guard the best player as long as he can, as long as the best player is not Giannis, for example, because the height difference and the athleticism might eat RJ up. But I don't know about Julius guarding the shooting guard. I don't know if he can stay with them, man. Like I said, watching him play Anunoby last night, Anunoby's a tall guy. He's got good size, and he's not real, he's slender, but he's got good weight on him. He was giving Julius the business as far as the way he was moving on that court. It was making it real tough. If you guys happen to have a chance to watch the replay and watch of how he's moving, or even just go to Nick highlights or whatever, just take a look at Anunoby and look who's around him when he's making his moves, how he's leaving guys, Julius in particular. Pudge Night, Be Civilized says the Pudge. We do, and that's Mitch, but we don't have what we don't have is a wing defender. Period. We need a disruptor type of player to defend the drive and protect the 3-point shot. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I think that would be nice to have on this team. I don't want to panic and say it has to happen right this moment, but maybe going forward, if we want to get somewhere down the line and we want to continue to win these games and then go into the playoffs and have a chance to make it somewhere, we might need that. I definitely think we might need that, or or a guard defender who can do the same thing, who can be a disruptor, like a Lou Dort, or I'm just throwing him out there because he's a young guy who's really good defensively. So, and he can shoot the three, so he's like a 3-and-D type player. But if we can get any of those guys, I know Uncle Freezy likes the Terrence Ross idea. I like Terrence Ross too. That could happen. That'd be great. I think Terrence Ross is a good defender, but of course I would love to get an even better defender, because if we can get somebody like a Lou Dort who's so good defensively that it makes the rest of the defense easier for the team. I feel like we need like a Bruce Bowen. We need that type of guy. A Shane Battier in his prime. Pudge Knight says Fournier, RJ, Randall, Taj, Mitch gives us our best lineup to win games. Need more defense. That's an interesting lineup. So Fournier, RJ, Randall, Taj, Mitch. That's an interesting lineup. And we still got the shooting. Hold on one second, guys. Let me get my man into this real quick. Oh, man, there he is. Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio in the building. What's good, man?
Salute, my man. Good to see you again. How's everything?
Everything's good, man. How's everything with you?
Just got home, just got off work, had to come show some love, what I'm saying? Tough game yesterday, but I'm glad to talk about it a little bit with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was just about to hit your comment. People were complaining that Randall was doing too much ISO. Now we complain that he isn't doing enough offensively.
Crazy,
Speak
right?
to that, Josh.
Crazy how that works.
Speak to that.
Well, it's just, beginning of the season, Randall was, was doing phenomenal in isolation, right? Scoring, definitely beating this man, definitely winning that matchup the entire time. And then as the season progressed, teams kind of adjusted to it, right? And now, Randall, struggled, I guess, in the next few games or whatever, not necessarily scoring as much, still getting, almost double-digit assists, still getting double-digit rebounds, contributing in other ways other than scoring the basketball, and leaving, giving guys wide open opportunities, but yet that's not enough. So which one do we want? Do we want Randall to isolate, or do we not want him to isolate? So for me, This is how I look at it. I think over the last, couple seasons, I think Randall has become a really good perimeter player as a forward, taking advantage of that matchup. But now I think teams have adjusted. Now I think it's time for Randall to just go more down low in the post and use his strength and power to be down low. We got guys who can knock down 3-point shots. RJ Barrett's 3-point shot has definitely excelled to a level it's never been before. RJ Barrett is now putting the ball on the floor and taking people off the dribble. So he's becoming a really good perimeter player. You have Evan Fournier, who's been around for a long time, knocking 3-point shots. Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker, those guys, we don't need Julius Randle to be on the perimeter. And I feel like now that Taj Gibson is hurt, anytime Tibbs wants to go to the small ball lineup and put Randle at the 5, just go down in the post, go down really deep and work down there. Get fouls called down there. Julius Randle is still near the top of the NBA and foul draw rate. The guy can draw fouls. He gets to the free throw line. So for me, that's just how I see it. I think teams have really adjusted to the Knicks. I think at this point, now that RJ Barrett is starting to take that next step in his career, we don't need Julius Randle to really isolate as much. I say go down in the post and dominate and work in the post and get to the free throw line down there. And I think he'll be just as effective as where he is right now, if not more.
I agree with that. I think that's why I kind of like, I want to, it's tough when you're trying to talk about these games and pinpoint the stuff that went wrong and who were the culprits in all this stuff without creating a narrative that's the problem. Like that's the reason why all of this is happening. No, it's just a symptom. Julius, I pointed to certain things that I didn't like that he did in this game, but I also said that the team itself was poor. They had poor defense. I mean, they gave you one good quarter of basketball, if you think about it. Second quarter, they started to fall apart, and they didn't show that type of effort. RJ already said that he feels like Toronto outworked them and played harder than them. And they can see it. We can see it. So it's nothing to say that it's all about Julius. It's the team itself. There's certain moments where you can point to Julius doing certain things on the court when he was trying to get his points. He was going great, but there was a certain, spell of maybe 4 or 5 possessions, maybe I don't know how many exactly, where he kind of, made some bad choices. He's wound up turning the ball over, making some shots. Now, my concern is what I'm looking at when I look at this team, not as if they're losing that togetherness or that team thing amongst themselves, but are they starting to kind of get something that's going on between them? Are they starting to say, hey, when the ball goes here, it looks like it's not coming back? I hope that's not the case, but I started to feel like, I wonder when Julius is doing this, when this is all happening, are the guys around the court saying, okay, well, Julius is going for his, we're not going to see the ball. And then they kind of don't get their effort starts to go down a little bit, and they don't put their all into the game. And then we see the whole course of the game change. What do you think about that, Josh?
I'm not feeding into that. I don't think there's any type of beef or anything like that we are assuming that is going on there. I know we see Julius Randle not really into it mentally, but I'm not feeding into that. Listen, this team is still trying to figure things out, right? I get it. It was one game. Julius Randle still trying to. This is probably the best team Julius Randle has ever had around him, right? So he's still trying to figure things out. RJ stepping into his new role. I think the team is still trying to get used to that. Right. And I just think that everyone, now that RJ Barrett's taking that next step, everyone is proclaiming RJ Barrett to be the best player on this team. That's just not the case. It still has to go through Randle at the end of the day. He is the alpha and the omega. I have to keep reiterating that. And, we want to talk about the ball sticking to players. Last night, RJ Barrett had 27 points, 0 assists, and 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers. And I'm not saying that we lost the game specifically because of that. But it's just that you don't hear that. No one talks about that, right? I get it. He's still trying to learn to step into that role. I'm not knocking him for that. But we keep putting these narratives out there that's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? Julius Randle is still playing well. For the minutes that he's getting on the floor, he's still playing well. Other players are still getting open opportunities. We just got to be able to knock those shots down when we get them. And we just got to be able to execute. And I feel like if you're going to give Julius Randle the ball to isolate, players got to move. I feel like, no one's moving, asking for the ball, calling for the ball when Julius Randle has it in his hands. No one wants to move. Everyone is standing stationary. So I think, we got to do a better job of executing and putting, and just knocking shots down, to be honest with you. So that's just how I feel about that. I don't think there's any beef or anything like that. I think this team is going to get it together. Offensively, I'm not concerned. My concern has always been the defense this season. So.
Yeah, no. I hear you on that, man. I think they'll be fine. I think it's just one of those things where we as fans, we're reading a lot into what's going on because we want it to be fixed. We don't want to continue to see them play bad basketball and not do what they need to do out there when we know they can win. I mean, once again, I'm going to say this, but it's not like, it's not a crazy take. The Knicks could have been undefeated right now, still, even after last night's game. Because we were up by 15 points. We basically, they took the game from us because we gave them opportunities to do so. What's up, Chop Low? Shout out to my man, Chop Low. Thanks for joining in, man. What's going on? How you doing? You on mute, brother.
Yeah, salute. God bless. I'm in the car. I'm driving. I was waiting for Josh to get out. I'm going to make sure he get on. I'm so sorry. God bless the chat. I love you guys, man.
Salute, Chop. Good to see you, man. Good to hear from you, man.
You too, sir. Listen, I'm driving like he was, so I'm glad he joined. I'm going to be muted.
No problem. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where it's at, man. Like one of the things that I'm noticing too is that the bench play has been poor. It hasn't been what we've been used to getting from them the past couple games. I think Uncle Freezy made a big point of that. That was one of the things he kept harping on earlier today. But I'm thinking even outside of that, it's the play of Derrick Rose. That's what's worrying me a little bit. I'm worried about like where Derrick Rose is right now, like as far as how he's getting his comfort level, because he's been the stabilizing person for us when it comes to these games. Off the bench, we need him to be out there controlling the offense and keeping everybody in the right frame of mind. And it's kind of seemed like it hasn't been that way. What's going on, Nick? Blue Collar Slade in the building. What's happening?
Wait. That's Coach Nick. Yo, that's my G. Yo, listen, Uncle Fulio, you gonna love this guy. Ron, you gonna love this guy. The chat, y'all gonna love him. God bless. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Coach Nick, what you doing? How you feeling about what's going on with the Knicks, man? What you saw last night?
Give me 1 second, brother. Let me get myself situated. Barely can hear you.
No problem. Yeah, but like that's one of the things. Like I'm thinking, like, you know, Derrick Rose has been real comfortable out there these past couple of games. We're praising him for his shot creation and the fact that he's hitting 3-point shots at a high clip. We're not used to him shooting this well, and now all of a sudden, I mean, last night he had 4 points. I mean, I'm not saying Derrick Rose has to go out there and be the top scorer on the team. I don't need him to give us 20 points, but 4 points, that's not going to cut it. From if we need scoring and we need that type of leadership on our bench, Derrick Rose got to do a little bit more, man. And even if looking at his numbers, I had went over it earlier. He had 1 assist in 19 minutes. That's not what you expect from a point guard. I don't care if he's your starter or your bench player. You play that amount of minutes, you want your point guard to at least be able to facilitate a little better, give you those nice opportunities to kind of help get your offense flowing. And if he contributes on the offensive end, all the more better. So back. Oh, go ahead, Josh. What were you going to say?
Real quick, Nick, good to see you. Real quick, I just want to say something. I'm going to respond to Stephen Fox in the chat. My boy's Foxy, you my guy, but he says I can't really compare Randall to RJ because Randall's 26, RJ is 21. You get that same. Well, RJ is only 21 years old. I understand all of that, and I understand that he's propelling himself to the next level, right? But how can someone propel themselves to that next level? And we want to depend on that person to be that type of dude, But if he is that dude, he can't have 4 turnovers and 0 assists. That just can't happen, right? And I'm not saying that it's absolutely, I'm going to come down on him like he played a terrible game. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you got to be able to call it fair and call it how you see it, right? Kemba Walker had 2 turnovers yesterday. Evan Fournier had 2 turnovers yesterday, and they seem to happen back to back, like one play after another. Toronto's defense was just very stifling. But when those guys get turnovers, no one says anything about it, right? Everybody tends to come down on Randall a lot more. So all I'm saying is people just need to be fair across the board. I understand that, Randall is in a little bit of a troubling kind of space right now, but he's still contributing to the team. I'm not saying Stephen Fox is saying this or, maybe Knicks fans in this panel, but I've been reading that people say trade Randall. I've been reading people say bench
That's
Randall.
most New York fans. They don't actually know what they're looking at. But go on, brother.
It's just like, people are just going all, crazy about this whole thing. I just think Randall is still that dude. He's still the best player on this team, and we're not going to be able to do anything successful in the playoffs or this season for that matter without him. So that's the only place I'm coming from.
Can I give my take real quick?
Yeah. Jump in, Coach.
First and foremost, Toronto's energy was different. They came out, they played harder. They got at them on the defensive end. They extended their defense. The Knicks didn't match their energy, and they was out-rebounded. When Chop calls me coach, can I break everything down in segments? That's what I do. Now, you said something about Rose. Rose, if you looked at the minutes was sporadic. It wasn't as if he got into a rhythm during the game. Rose, as a veteran, he came in and he did what he needed to do. He felt out the game. Well, I got to get to the paint. I got to attack. The Knicks were just outplayed. We could blame anybody. We could blame the players. We can even blame Tibbs. Tibbs with the personnel. Obi should have got a few more minutes. That Toronto team was a smaller team. They went small ball on us. They spread us out, and they was knocking down the trays. Yes, we got more offensive punch this year, but it's not the same defensive team. I was listening to podcasts earlier. They were talking about the individual defenders. That's cool and all, but if you watch how Toronto defended, they weren't looking for no help. They got in people's chests,
one-on-one,
and they pushed them into double teams. Tibbs got to get back to, because this Knicks team reminds you that Bulls team Rose just got there when they had who was it they had there? Luau Deng and those guys. they had a bunch of solid pieces.
Right.
It's not about just one star player. What we didn't have last night was Rose was the one that was creating his own shot. He was able to get into the paint. What we needed to do, the offense needed to. There was a lot of stagnant play at one point.
Mm-hmm.
We went into a few ISOs or whatever have you, but in a nutshell, we were just outworked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They creamed us on the glass, and they just took advantage of them just being a team that's been to the mountaintop already. They defend. They know how to defend.
Right.
We just got to figure it out and close out games because we was up. But we was up 15 points.
15 in the second quarter.
15 points.
So it's still a how you say, still a learning process or whatever have you. You got to learn how to close out games. All teams are going to go on a run. We got to put, you know what I'm saying, put their teeth to the curb and finish them. That's all it is. When we was outplayed, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. We ain't going to look into the numbers too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, like, Rose been knocking down the 3-ball. He had the last night. That game was, you know what I'm saying, it was subpar. You look at Kimba shooting over, 48% from behind the arc? He's knocking them down, too.
Yeah,
they're just going to be a collective. And don't point one finger at one player. Randall, I
agree.
He's forcing right now. He needs to let it come to him. It's going to come to him. That's all, brothers. That's all I want to elaborate.
So let me ask you a question. It was the game plan that they already had. Toronto had the game plan already, and the Knicks.
Yeah.
Toronto is no guesswork with Toronto, boss.
Toronto,
they're going to come out there. We could even say the Knicks were looking for Siakam. You know, they was looking at the game plan to stop Siakam. Siakam didn't play. Then you got other guys that stepped up. Next man up.
No, I'm saying Toronto's game plan was already that the Knicks didn't really.
There's no doubt in my mind Tom Thibodeau got outcoached. There's no doubt in my mind. I think Toronto had a game plan coming in, and I thought it was going to be a lot more zone. They didn't even run zone. They just went straight up man to man and just D'd up. You know what I'm saying? I think the Knicks really haven't seen that this season. A team actually do that to them. And Toronto's a good team. They're well coached. And I think Tibbs got outcoached this last game. No question about that at all.
No, I agree with you there.
We can blame it on Tibbs, but then again, it's all about adjustments.
Yeah.
Now, as a coach, I can tell you what I see, and one of my players be like, hey, yo, coach, I see this, that, and the third. We put our heads together. How are we going to combat this? How are we going to thwart this? And that's what, but primarily, again, we were outworked. Toronto defends, period. There's not too many teams you're going to run into that defend like that anyway. It was just a wake up. There was lackadaisical with the ball. When pressured, they threw the ball away. There's, like you said earlier, the 2 lackadaisical turnovers by Kimba. We can't have that. Especially a team like that. That's a playoff built team. And what happens in the playoffs? Games become a crawl, half court. Every play down, you have to execute. You got to get something out of it. We can't have the turnovers. They had 5 turnovers late in the fourth, and all their turnovers they didn't equate to no points for us. All our points, where they had 8 turnovers, like 14 points or something wild like that. It was the turnovers. We shot ourselves in the foot. That's all it was.
Yeah. 16-8 turnover. We lost the turnover.
16-8. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's that. You can't win like that. I mean, that's doubled up, man. That's not good. It's not clean basketball. You expect some instances to happen where you make mistakes, but that number's too high. And also, big shout out. Well, go ahead, Josh.
Real quick. We lost the transition battle 21-3. 21-3. So those turnovers that we made, I don't know how much of them were steals or whatever the case may be, but that led them directly into transition. The missed 3-point shots. Me and Sim we argue about this all the time. I think that, because we're shooting a lot more threes early in the shot clock, that leaves a lot of long rebounds for opposing guards to get to start up their transition. You know what I'm saying? Right. The Knicks weren't this bad of a transition team last year. This year, they're not that good of a transition team, and they're in the bottom half of the league in transition defense. So I think all of that matters into it, which, again, we traded some offense, or we traded some defense for some offense. That's going to happen. But, that's some of the things that we have to pay attention to. If we're not knocking down shots and we're not, making key stops on defense, that's probably going to be an L for us if you look at the box score.
It's just the perimeter guys. They gotta get in tune and get on that chain. Again, not all teams are gonna have those individual defenders. You play defense as as a unit. The Knicks, the personnel, you got a lot of guys that's cerebral. Even down to he didn't play a lot of minutes either. But as far as what's my guy name? Burks. He defends. If you watch him defend, he defends with his length. He's not a stalwart at defense, but he knows what he's doing out there. Thibodeau just got to get back to Thibodeau type basketball. We're gonna lock you up. We're gonna defend. We added a new dimension. Yeah, we shoot the three, but again, we got to make stops. Mitch is out there. He anchoring the defense. Mitch is a problem. If he's not blocking and he got guys missing at the rim, we need to clean up the glass and get out and run. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I mean it really is simple when you think about it. It's about execution and some of the stuff we've already seen this team do. They just somehow, for whatever reason, they kind of lost their way a little bit. It happens throughout the course of a season. For us as Knicks fans, we're looking at it and we got out to this nice hot start, so we want to see it and continue. And there's some hurdles that we're dealing with. So hopefully we can get through all of the bad things that have been happening lately. In tomorrow's game, we can correct some of that type of poor play. I will say, once again, I'm gonna give a shout out and salute to my man Knicks 100. He said it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. He was right. He said we cannot take these Toronto Raptors lightly. They have our number. They're a good defensive team. They're a good team overall because they can score the basketball too, and they don't even have two of their biggest weapons, Siakam being out and Scotty Barnes. And let me tell you, if I don't even want to think of what Scotty Barnes would have done in last night's game, because this young cat, he's real. His defense he's a strong young player who gets after it. He's like aggressive defensively. Yeah, that would have definitely been sturdy. Yeah, go ahead. No, what were you gonna say?
He's sturdy.
Yeah.
For the most part, you're right on that. You clicking on all cylinders there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would have turned into, but hey, we got our game. They got the tape. They see what they did wrong, and they can easily correct it and improve on it. But they do need to take accountability for how they played. They got all hustled and maybe out coached too on Tibbs' side, because Nick Nurse looked like he was confident, man. He had a nice game plan, and his guys were executing. I didn't see him over there yelling at his team about what they weren't doing. They were playing.
One possession at a time. They started getting the stops. They got the extra shots, the boards. We got mauled on the glass in that second half. That's what a lot of people don't see.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, what you think. Do you think it's to the point, because someone brought it up in the chat. Do you think it's to the point where Evan Fournier is starting to show that he's more of a liability defensively than he is positive offensively? Because we know that losing the point guard we had last year and losing Reggie Bullock was going to be an issue. We get it, but we expected that these two gentlemen were going to add enough offensive firepower to us that even if we had some defensive lapses, that extra firepower was going to give us that edge. So whatever breakdowns happen, we would still be controlling the game and still leading in points. But you think that Evan Fournier, his defensive lapses and some of his play out there in the court, the offense that he provides is just not enough to make up for that? What do you think, Josh?
About Evan Fournier?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we already knew this coming into the season that we were going to make that sacrifice. People were saying that Reggie Bullock wasn't all that defensively and everything like that. We're seeing everything happen right before our eyes right now. So I think Fournier can hold his own enough for us to be able to make it throughout the season. But I think the Knicks still going to have to go out midseason and try to make some sort of trade to booster up that defense a little bit. Somebody 3-and-D, because I don't believe over the course of the season Fournier is going to be that stopper defensively, or RJ Barrett for that matter. I know he's much better, but to me, RJ Barrett still has some work to do on the defensive end. I think he gets beat back there a lot. I think coming around curls off the ball or coming around curls, RJ Barrett is not the best. So we're going to need some help to shore up that wing defense. And I think the Knicks are going to go after someone halfway throughout the season to be like some sort of backup player. And if the guy is better than Evan Fournier, then we might see Evan Fournier coming off the bench. I doubt it. I doubt there's going to be anybody out there like that, but I think that is a possibility as well. So yeah, I like Fournier, but we are sacrificing a little bit on the defensive end. No question.
No, I agree. What do you think, Nick?
You have your answer on the bench. Young boy Grimes. Grimes is good size, solid defender, and he's an actual 2. So for the most part, it's just going to be quickly. He's going to lose some minutes. You hearing this first? He's going to lose some minutes. That's if Tibbs realized what's going on. If you're talking about this stopper, you wouldn't say my man name, but my man Elfrid Payton, and you said the guy Bullock. You got to understand this league is not. You don't stop nobody. You try to contain them and keep the rest of them from giving them extra. But for the most part, we have our player that we need. If you looking for a defender, give the kid Grimes a few more minutes. As far as the Knicks, from top to bottom, we haven't been this. How you say? We haven't been this. We have some depth. All Thibodeau got to do is sprinkle what he has to sprinkle on. He got to make it a Thibodeau hard-nosed defensive team. We got the offense. We just got to find ways to manufacture when we're not knocking down shots, get the turnovers, get out in transition, things like that. It's not rocket science. I like the Knicks moving forward in the East. I see them finishing still around 4th. We stay healthy, come playoffs. We should, we should make that deep push because we have enough offense right now. The defensive end and cleaning up that glass. That's what I seen last night. That may not be the issue moving forward, though.
See, this is where I disagree just a little bit, right? Yes, the Knicks do have a lot of depth, right? But I think the depth is kind of individual, right? The bench unit, who we thought was supposed to be one of our, best things coming into the season, our bench unit has not been playing that well together. And I personally attribute that to the Alec Burks, Derrick Rose, and Emmanuel Quickly kind of trio. All 3 of those dudes need to have the ball in their hand at the same time. Not at the same time, but all three of them need to have the ball in their hand. You know what I'm saying? That's why, and I'm not saying Grimes needs to have the ball in his hands. I believe he can be a good 3-and-D kind of guy. I just don't personally know if he's ready yet. And like I said, I think if the Knicks would have, let's say, for example, hypothetically, the Knicks would have brought back Reggie Bullock instead of Alec Burks for that second unit, I thought that would have been perfect. That would have been perfect because you got a guy, and this is my opinion. Let me tell you why. Because you got a guy who, one, doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can knock down 3-point shots, and he can be able to defend, right? Put him next to Quickly and put him next to Derrick Rose. I think that would have been a better bench trio than what we have right now as far as Alec Burks, Emmanuel Quickly, and Derrick Rose. Just because all 3 of them need to have the ball in their hands. That's just the way I feel about that.
But what about McBride? McBride is a great defensive player. Oh,
great.
I mean, I don't.
He could get better.
I just don't think those guys. I don't think they're ready yet. I don't think Grimes and McBride.
Yeah, they're not ready.
Grimes can come in. McBride can come in and say spot minutes, but I think for that bench they need an experienced 3-and-D kind of wing guy to come in there and play with Rose and all those guys and then Quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's kind of the problem that Tibbs faces. Listen, he's the coach, guys. He knows what's going on the court. He could see that in some ways, maybe this marriage of players together, there's a certain issues that he's seeing with the bench. Because when Quickly's not going good, and Burks is struggling a little bit here and there, then you got everything depending on Derrick Rose to carry you. And if Derrick Rose has an off game, say like last night, it looks horrible. The product looks bad off the bench. But that's not going to be every night. But it's just one of those where it was like it's a bad chain of events. Quickly still has to find himself. And Burks, I don't know what's wrong with Burks because I think he could be out there doing the same thing he was doing last year, but for whatever reason, it's just not clicking right. Salute to Worldwide L. Thank you for joining, brother. Good to see you.
Uncle L.
Yo, Chop, what I gotta hunt you down for? I gotta jump on panels, hunt you down, all kind of stuff just to get a plate, bro. Come on.
And you see what had happened was You
What's
came
up, fellas?
earlier and I left.
I never left. I was driving, so I just was listening to you guys. I was driving, so I said, let me pop on real quick. I see Fulio in the building. What's up, Josh? What's going on, bro?
Good to see you, my man. Long time no speak.
No doubt. What's up, Nick? First time meeting you. What's up, my brother?
How you, brother? Everything on the side.
Everything is cool on this side.
Yeah, man. So I'm
I
wondering.
just popped in to hang out with y'all guys for a little while. I'm
Yeah,
still a little
I'm
tired from last night.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna be here for a little while longer, but I want to keep the momentum going a little bit. Got everybody jumping in, giving their takes on what's happening. What do you think, Worldwide L, about what's being said about the bench play and what's going on with guys like Rose, Burks, Quickly, and how Josh mentioned the fact that they all got to have the ball in their hands to kind of be effective. Do you think this is a bad mix right now, especially the way two of these guys are currently playing? I'm not going to say Burks is playing horribly.
That's a great take.
I think he's still giving us something. It's just not enough or not what we need right now. But what do you think about that?
I think the problem is that when we not hitting our shots, we can't spread the floor the way we're supposed to spread the floor. So if IQ is not, if he doesn't do his job, see, people think I bash him, but it's important for him to do his job. It's important for Burks to do his job. And when they doing their job and they hitting them wide open shots, it spreads the floor and it allows Rose to be Rose. It allows Obi to be Obi, and whoever the center is at the time can be out there, whether it's Mitch or Taj or Nerlens. But it's important if them guys not hitting them shots, then we're gonna find ourselves in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why when I put in the chat earlier about Tibbs left IQ in the game so long last night, he pretty much sacrificed the win for us. He sacrificed the win because IQ didn't have it going on. And for you to even have him out there in the game at that time with Fournier stuck on the bench, a veteran. We're talking about a veteran over a 2-year player, somebody that been there, done that, gets hot. He don't even need to get hot. His stroke is good, and you leave him on the bench for no reason. No reason at all. It's not like
so. Coach was setting an example, right?
Brother.
He was setting an example, right? L, he's like setting an example. Listen.
No. What happens? From what I see within the game is that sometimes you wanna see IQ before you sit him down. You want to give him that fair shot, that fair chance to hopefully he come out of it before you tap somebody else's number, you call somebody else's number.
That rookie slump
Grimes is up next. So I see he might get the tap, he might get the nod. Grimes might get the nod after that game last night because there was no reason for it Quickly to be in the game. Burks is Burks. He's a veteran. You know what I mean? He does so much for the team. So if he's struggling on one part of his game, he know how to do other things, whether it be the defensive end, run the point, whatever we need Burks to do. So you're not going to see him diminish,
So wait, fellas, because I didn't watch the game. I woke up, I worked late nights, I was sleeping, I watched the highlights. So that means Knox didn't even play last night then.
Knox is not going to play though. He's not going to play.
Yeah,
but you just see, but he left him in the game. Yeah, if that second unit is only good when they making the shots. That goes for anybody. First unit, second unit. If guys is not making their shot, then it's easy for the defense to cheat, and that's what happens. They cheat. So that's why you may see a lot of turnovers, things of that nature, because the floor is not spread the way it's supposed to spread. And Derrick Rose can't be Derrick Rose if he drives to the basket and the whole defense collapse on him like you saw last night. They collapsed on him because they know that this guy's not hitting the shot. And then when he was wide open, he missed the shot again. So it's like, okay, forget about him. He can't make the shot. So we focus on Derrick Rose, So I don't think it's a big concern. I think it's just a tweak here, tweak there, or just a matter of this players just finding a stroke. Might not even have to do nothing. No,
right. The encore is on right now, fellas. It was that third quarter when they went small, and they the Knicks just didn't match their energy.
Yep.
Oh, the replay on MSG. I'm making my way up the hill now to go home. Oh,
yeah. No, I mean that's.
I wouldn't feed too much into that. Just more or less guys not making a shot. These players. Our second unit is, like they said, it could be a starting unit, but it only could be a starting unit if they make their shots.
That's a good point. Yeah,
if they'll make their shots with it, But yeah, that's my take on that.
The problem that bothers me is, well, one, that's a really good take, Nick. You read about that. I didn't look at it that way, and I guess I'm sure maybe some other fans that didn't have a chance to really look at the whole game or the game at all. You just look at the box score and you see. And I watched it, but mind you, I was in the middle of doing some other stuff for the show. Yeah, it's a good point that you mentioned that Rose minutes, they weren't like it's not like he had a good amount of consecutive minutes to get going. They were kind of real spotty minutes, so he really couldn't get a rhythm together, and maybe that affected his game, and that's why he couldn't get his shot falling properly and get that outcome that we used to seeing. Because I mean, I can't tell you the last time I seen Derrick Rose give us 4 points, so that definitely was a lot. A lot to watch to see that he didn't have it. But the other thing I wanted to point out real quick is that when you look at the starting lineup and the way they're playing, now that we've seen how RJ has stepped up and he's out there commanding the ball. He's trying to show y'all that look, I've been working on my game and I'm getting better. Definitely you could feature me. I think tomorrow's game against the Pacers, I think we go if Randall wants to come out the gate and give us that same energy and that same, like, I'm going to get my points real quick, get off to a nice little, get my game going, then I'll get everybody else involved. I'm okay with that. I don't have any problem with watching. Like, I had no problem with how he came out in the first quarter last night. My only issue is that when he got into the second quarter, he didn't make that proper adjustment when they was coming to say, okay, we saw what you did in the first quarter against us, Randall. We're not going to let you do it again. So either you're going to do something we want you to do or you pass the ball. That's all I want him to do. I want him to pass the ball to the rest of his teammates, trust those guys, and we go from there, because this is a good team, man. We got a lot of good shooters. I mean, if we keep moving the ball the right way and getting guys open shots, I think this team will break a record. One will break a record for 3-point shots made for our team, but I think we could break like NBA records. That's how good our shooters are.
I think we already did break that record, Ron.
No. I'm saying for the year, like
for the season. Okay, yeah,
for the season. Like I think you're definitely right about that. I think as far as our 3-point percentage for the team, because you see some games we lights out. I mean, RJ shot 75% from three. Like Randall shot 50% last night from three, but we got Kemba's been solid. That Kemba shot, he's a sniper, man. I know he's good, but I didn't realize that his shot is so pure. And then we are like Nick mentioned, Fournier is a he's not one of those bum dudes. This guy got a pure shot. He's an NBA professional player that has made it on the teams that he's been on, and he brings that same thing to every team. He can shoot. And looking at old video of Fournier, not saying that he's that way now because he's not, he's a little older. Fournier used to get to the rack. He would dunk on you. Like Fournier's done it all in this league. So we got weapons. We just got to be able to move the ball and use them. Go ahead, Josh.
I think the emergence of RJ is really big for not just Randall, but for the entire team, because now you have another guy that you can give the ball to and run the offense through, right? You don't need to have Kemba running the offense necessarily as a point, as a point guard. Yeah, he still needs to do it, but he doesn't have to be that primary guy. You got Randall, and then if you have someone else other than Randall, if you have RJ doing that, I think that's huge, because then you don't have to isolate Julius Randle as much. Then you can put Julius Randle down in the post a little bit more. And particularly now with Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel being out, if Tibbs wants to go with that small ball lineup to try to get Mitch out of there to put Randle at the 5, you can put Randle down low and in the post, in the low post, and have him work and operate in that area while everyone else is out on the perimeter. So I think this is a perfect time for Randall and for the Knicks to kind of work those little kinks out, because I tell you what's going to happen. Rick Carlisle is another phenomenal defensive coach, right? Every team is doing the same thing against Julius Randle. He goes to a wing and a high wing or whatever the case may be, and he tries to isolate. As soon as he puts the ball on the ground, boom, here comes the double team, and they make Randall give the ball up, and then they just continue the defensive rotations. So they're doing the same thing that Atlanta did last season. So something has to change. Like I said, I think I just want to put Randall down in the post, have him operate down there, down low, and then have RJ, his game, take it to another level. Fournier knock down some 3-point shots. Kemba, Rose quickly, and I think we can be able to score more points.
Can I
And you
say
know what,
something?
Josh? Pudge
Go
said
ahead.
that in the chat. Randall ain't ready yet.
I wouldn't say that.
For what? For what? Randall not ready for what?
He's not ready to take on that kind of responsibility as far as giving up. He think he's the man still, or
He is
if
the
you
man.
will. He is the man, but you sometimes you got Kemba, you got a bona fide point guard who can score and get in the paint. He still feel in my mind the way when Pudge said, I think Kemba think not Kemba, Randall think he's mellow. Like he has to take everything on upon himself.
So what you're saying is you don't think Randall's ready to be willing to allow others to shine on the team outside of him?
Yes, indeed, yes.
I don't see it that. I don't see it that way, Chop. I see it the way like Kemba, as the point guard and as veteran, should demand control of the team.
But Pudge said Kemba's too nice. He's too nice. Kemba's too nice to Randall.
Do you have that problem? Do you have that problem when Rose is in the game with Randall? No, you don't have that
No.
problem. And Rose just is nice. he demands. Rose demand the ball. He calls for the ball. You know, you got to call. You the point guard. You the quarterback of the squad. You
Right, you have to be that facilitator. You got to yes, right.
You got to get
Can I
players.
touch this, fellas?
Yeah, definitely.
Now when Randall comes up to the top and calls for the ball, when you know he's going to turn his back to the basket and try to force a shot, you know. I wanted to ask y'all guys this question: do you think Tibbs panicked when things is not going his way?
Hold that question. I'm gonna come back to Al. So go ahead, Nick. Go ahead. You want to touch that other subject real quick?
What people fail to realize when you start talking about basketball in this day and age is positionless. Oh, he needs the rock in his hands to do this, that, and the third. Okay, we'll give you that. As a point guard, it says it right there. You guarding the points. A lot of people don't know it, but I'm gonna tell it to you. So it's tempo. He's pushing. He's getting guys involved. Sometimes you got to go away from you. Oh, Randall isolate. Sometimes you got to go away from that. Try to get another feel. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get his line share shots. The main thing is this one has a job to do. Now, when you out there playing, when you on the court, you're positionless. It might be times where, say, Rose is not getting into the paint. He's not getting it done. Somebody else has to take that role. But as far as that goes, I don't want to condemn nobody too early. This is a team that got a little depth now. That game, talking about the Pacers, I'm going to fast forward to the Pacers. Conventional lineup. You're going to see a different Knicks team against a conventional lineup. Toronto went small ball. And like I said, they mauled us on the glass. Why? Mitchell Robinson is not in the game. They went small. What they didn't do was put Obi right alongside Randall. That's our small ball lineup. Say if Taj was playing, you still can mix it up. But the thing is, against a conventional lineup, could they actually have a center? Even though old boy is kind of soft, he want to shoot jump shots all day. But the main thing was against a conventional lineup, you'll see a different Knicks team. That's a hybrid team that Toronto did with the smaller lineup.
Yeah.
They had some bangers there. That's why we got to pump our brakes on Sims, fellas. We got to pump our brakes. Got to pump your brakes. Young blood ain't ready yet. See?
Nah, he's not.
Everybody was calling for Sim. Oh, he looks good in preseason. Pump your brakes when you get around them big boys, or when you get around them dudes that's undersized but they got some power. They push him out. They pushed him out. That was also one of the turning points of the game of having him out there as opposed to he took Taj minutes, but then Tibbs, why you let him?
Taj sprained his ankle. He wasn't coming back in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I hope that the G League starts up soon, so we can get a couple of these guys down in there, so they can get some game plays that get that whole thing going when they learn on the fly. But it's okay down there. You can't just throw them to the wolves up here. You got to get them down there, let them get out there, let Jericho get comfortable, let him get a little dominant down there on the boards, get some points, start to feel good about himself, bring him back up when we need him, when he's a little bit more ready. Yeah, and then we can go from there. We see what happens.
Yo, Ron, see, that's the thing that I always question.
I gotta go, fellas.
Oh, sorry, Uncle Al.
I left y'all with that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna
say
point to that question right now.
for my show, But I'm gonna bless the panel with that good old question. Yo, check out
Yeah.
By the way, fellas, check out that interview we had with John Warren from the Knicks the 70th championship team. Wow. Yeah, the ring and the camera and everything. Pretty dope.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope. That was a great job, guys.
I'm gonna check that out, OG, for sure, man. I'm gonna check that out.
I'm gonna check it out, L. I'm sorry, L.
Yeah, I gotta go. Wifey calling me, so I gotta go.
Right,
that's a good question. I left y'all with that question. Do y'all think Tibbs panics? Because a lot of his panic has to do with him watching the game and not making the proper adjustments, leaving players in too long, not putting players in the game who should be in the game. I'll leave y'all with that question. I love y'all. Thanks for having me, Ron.
All right, man. No problem, L.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
Peace, man.
Peace.
Yeah.
Salute, Al.
Definitely tune in and show your love and support. Check out For Our Love of the Game, Worldwide L, my man Hard Will, and HQ. They do a great job over there. They got tons of Nick content as well as other content, man. Just keep you right, man. Sometimes maybe you don't want to talk about basketball. They talk about boxing. They talk about R&B, hip hop. They got it all over there. So definitely, salute to them. Check them out. Show your love. Like and subscribe their channel. They're doing great things. So back to, I just want to touch on his question real quick and then probably just get some closing words so I can get out of here. I've been on for a minute. And I know some of y'all probably like this time slot in the chat. Yeah, I wish I could do this, man, but I got a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 normally. So I'm just off today because it's election day. So I'm just taking advantage. But anyway, so back to what Worldwide L said. What do you guys think about that? Do you think Tibbs maybe panicked with what he was doing yesterday, what he was calling or not calling, bringing people in? What do you think, Josh? So
I don't think panic is the right word, right? I do think his lack of adjustments, I think that's apparent. I think he is kind of stubborn in his ways a little bit. He has made in the past a lot of questionable decisions as far as when he calls his timeouts, how to stop people from going on their runs, the type of lineups that he uses. I think it is very, very questionable. I don't think anything would have worked yesterday because we were down Taj Gibson. I don't think it would have worked yesterday, but in the previous games before that and in the playoffs last season, Thibodeau just did not adjust. So I don't know if it was panic, but I do think he struggles in that area as far as game management in a little bit of in a way.
Yeah, what do you think, Nick?
Your second leader on the floor is your guard. Coach don't have to call a timeout. If I got to take a quick foul just to rally the troops, listen, we need to do this, that, and the third. All the coaching is done when you're at practice. You adjust during the game. Again, like certain things you see out there, coach, his vantage point different. So I'm not going to blame Tibbs. We know Tibbs stubborn. Tibbs rides his guys. He trusts you. He's going to ride you. But then again, you just got to produce, man. It's a thin line when people throw the coach under the bus or whatever have you. Sometimes you like, yo, that was just blatant. You know what I'm saying? That's a dereliction of duty. Like he just fell short. But a lot of it,
dereliction of duty. I like that.
Yeah. But for the most part, there's just some things you know who's who and what they do. Now, if you'd asked Tibbs, were you able to speak to him? First thing he would have said to you was, we didn't get enough stops and we didn't clear our glass. And that's all he's really going to say as far as that and the turnovers. Those three things killed us. That's all it was. Teams are going to make runs. Teams are going to make shots. Period. Point blank. You can't give them second shots. You can't give them extra opportunities. So I try to make it simple. I'll say that. And if you look at the box score, and if you watch the game, that third quarter killed us. And the momentum when we came right out in the fourth, I believe he only had 4 points. Some from Wichita State, the little guard.
Van Vliet.
Light-skinned brother.
Van Vliet.
Yeah, Van Vliet. First 2 possessions, scored 2 goals. He knew it was time to turn up. We didn't have no answers.
The time is there.
We didn't meet their intensity, boss. That's all it was.
Yeah, no, I agree. What you think about that, Chop?
Now I gotta agree with everything he just said because that's what I was thinking about to say. I agree.
All right, cool. Yeah, man, that's a good question, L. Because there's a lot of the stuff that is going on. Obviously, we point to the players, but we also don't want to let Tibbs off the hook. So obviously, if something looks like it's happening on the court, we know he's the floor general. We know he's He's kind of a militant dude when it comes to how he runs his teams. He's been a lot better now that he's been with the Knicks. I will say that.
True.
Whatever stops he's had since he left Chicago have definitely humbled him as a coach. I think he learned a lot being over there with the Clippers organization and watching Doc Rivers and what they did with their young guys. And also after experiencing what happened with Minnesota, that was a wake-up call about how to deal with these young athletes. So he's much better at that stuff now. Yeah, he's much better at that stuff now. But before I get out of here, just wanted to hit everybody up, kind of see, one, what you think, or what you would like to see from tomorrow's game against the Pacers. It's not really a preview, but just a little bit of what you think you'd like to see from the Knicks tomorrow. And obviously, if you got anything going on, feel free to shout it out. So let me start with you, Choplo. What would you like to see from tomorrow's game?
Obviously, listen, I didn't see the game last night. I was sleeping. I only saw the highlights. I don't want to see those highlights again, if you will. I want to see a more team-oriented basketball play. And listening to the chat this morning on Freezy's show and everything, I want to be a more team-oriented game, if you will. You got to let other people step up.
No, I hear you. I agree with you. More team oriented, and allow other people to step up and be a part of the team and show their role, man. We got a lot of good players on this team, and we're starting to see. It's still a little early. I don't want to say that, but I mean, you could say that we're starting to see a budding star right before our eyes in RJ. He's starting to. If you can continue with this might be it. This might be the takeoff point where we're like, yo. Remember how the season started? Then RJ, he had that one good game, and that was it. He was gone from there. So hopefully that's the case. Nick, what you expect to see from tomorrow's game? And obviously, if there's anything else you want to shout out, feel free.
Nah, just the pace. That pace is the
same thing.
Yeah, it's just the pace, and we just gotta win on the glass. That Pacers team, they're pretty much a conventional lineup. They're big, so. Pace, try to get some easy ones, get out and run. Most knock down your shots. That's a given, but pace. And I think Rose and Kimball gonna have to push the pace. And Obi's gonna be big in transition, just getting out and running. I said this last year when they was condemning him. I said as the guard play pick up, you're gonna see Obi's game pick up. And that's what you're seeing.
All right. Sounds good, man. I agree with you on that too. These are everything that's been mentioned so far is everything we need to see in tomorrow's game. And if they do that and execute properly, we should see a victory. Josh?
I was going to say the same thing like Nick said. It's the pace. I think in the preseason we were top 5 in pace, and I get it, it's preseason, but that was something that we were looking forward to because the Knicks have been so slow in the past. Last year they were 30th in the NBA. The year before that they were 29th, and now I think we're right back down there, like at least 25th or something like that in the NBA in pace. So we need to pick that pace up, try to get some easy buckets in transition. I think when we do that, we're an unstoppable team offensively, unstoppable, because we have so many weapons and getting Obi out there just to energize the team and get them that Yoda energy. So pace is what I want to see. And obviously what I mentioned earlier about Julius Randle getting down into the paint a little bit more, becoming less of a perimeter player and more of a down low kind of player. I think he's unstoppable once he gets down there. No one's going to stop him one-on-one, getting to the free throw line. So that's what I want to see the Knicks get back to. For those who don't know, check out my latest episode of The Controversy. I did it on Sunday after RJ did his career game. Check that out. I gave my opinion on RJ, and I'm still sticking to it, everyone. But like I said,
Josh, that's the one, the dude that called up the show the night before, and then you was with him. That's that one you talk about.
That's that one. Yeah, tune into that. For those who haven't seen it, I'm still sticking by my RJ point. But like I said, if he plays like that, where he can be that closer type of dude, then everything I said goes out the window. Everything I said goes out the window. So check that out if you haven't, guys. And Queen's Court tonight at 8:30. My man Ron, I know you're gonna be on there, right?
I shall.
Yeah, through the Queen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So definitely look, say what you will about our man Josh, aka Uncle Fulio. He gives the hot takes. He throws himself out there into the fire, but you know what? He don't just stand there and cower, man. He steps up on them coals and he lets the fire blaze around him. He takes it all in, man. I gotta salute you, brother. And that definitely tune in to Josh's show, The Controversy. This last one was a really good one. The back and forth between him and the gentleman you had on, I forgot his name off the top of my head. Was great. Definitely. Yeah, man. I like how you give it up, man. You can dish it, but you take it too. So good job, brother. Good job.
Thank you.
So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody for joining on and being part of the panel. Josh, Chop Low, Nick, my man Worldwide L. Thank you guys for all jumping on the panel and chopping it up with me, talking about our Knicks. As Josh already kind of mentioned, tonight is the Queen's Court. That's at 8:30. And our show, Still Knick Fans, with myself and my co-host John, will be premiering right after that show. So if that show goes to around 10 o'clock, then you'll see a premiere for Still Knick Fans right after that. It's going to drop that we recorded yesterday. And once again, as Josh said, you will probably see me on the Queen's Court tonight, showing love to the MBK fam. It's a great Knick community we got. We keep building together, we keep growing, and let's hopefully along the lines our Knicks keep winning games and we see something special at the end of it all. So thank you to the chat once again. Y'all have held me down all day. I appreciate y'all. I see Scotty just joined up. I'm about to get out of here with Scotty. Salute to you, brother. Listen, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a great one. I'm out of here.